I apologize. I am not live.
You're not live? Okay.
Let me see if I can record it. Is my video staying there? Oh
It's
no, I
working.
can't have both open. That's so weird. That's
Yes.
weird. Okay, so I guess I'll just have to record my screen. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, goddamn. Okay. Well,
You got a gamer setup going on?
I do. I have a 2 PC stream setup. I
Oh,
used to be one of the best Arma 3 players in the world. Let's see. What am I
wow.
gonna do here?
Are you past your prime? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm too old for that kind of stuff now.
Okay.
Um, all right. You know what? I'm going to need a hot minute. Let me just turn on the streaming PC because that's what this is designed for. So, yeah,
I
we'll just have to
understand.
do it. We'll just have to do it this way because I don't want to tinker with the OBS settings on my PC because it's really meant for recording. What's it called? Uh, like actual YouTube content,
I
and the
understand.
streaming PC is meant for streaming content. So yeah, I don't usually like this setup, but it'll have to do for now.
You got the
But
aviators on? Is that what they are?
yeah,
You wear those inside?
I'm partially blind and
Right.
I'm
Okay.
photolight sensitive.
I see.
So
Are those okay?
yeah, they're prescription, so I can't see without
Okay.
them. You know what? If you don't care, I'll just steal the stream from you. No,
That's
no, hold on,
fine.
wait. I got Camtasia on here.
You
I
got
can record
Camtasia?
this.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Oh, we're going
yeah.
like 2008 mode right now. We're
Yeah.
about
Well,
to.
this is the 2019 version, so I'm gonna
Are
record
you
the
about
screen.
to get unregistered hypercam going on?
Yeah, something like that. All right, here we
Okay.
go. Oh no, this is registered though. I paid
Oh,
for all
this
this.
is the registered hypercam. Okay, my
Yeah.
apologies.
All right. Audio is on. Speak really quick.
Hello? Hello?
Okay. That should be good.
Okay.
Let me see. My microphone is being recorded. Let me just make sure it's gonna be recording PC sounds, and then we're set. Do. General disabled. Wow. I should have been made aware that this would be a thing. Record screen, effects, record audio, record webcam. Okay. All right. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin this debate here. And I mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse and then kind of segue into the murder in Portland, Oregon. So really quickly, I see you got the Antifa flag behind you. Are you a member of Antifa or a how would you describe your political worldview
Well,
to
considering
people?
Antifa is not an organization, it would be
Hmm.
impossible for anybody to be a member of Antifa. I have
Okay.
done, however, anti-fascist organizing in multiple cities, and I
Okay.
am a YouTube commentator that takes that
Yes.
experience on the line.
Yes. All right,
Yes.
so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I spent a lot of time earlier today watching some of your content on Kyle Rittenhouse. So, in your own words, what do you think went on there, and what is your general opinion about Kyle Rittenhouse and his alleged actions?
Well, um, to put it succinctly, he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have
Okay.
had those guns. Militias shouldn't have been there. The idea that there's going to be random people that are enlisted to defend or protect property
Yeah.
sounds like something out of an anarcho-capitalist fever dream. And
Okay.
if we are going to have a police force, right, if we are going to organize society in a way that has police forces, I
Yeah.
don't know why we need 17-year-olds with machine guns to be in these locations. So I
Okay.
think wrong place, wrong time, wrong attitude. As you can see,
Yeah.
I've made several videos about some of the things that came out about him and his history. Him
I've seen most of it.
attending Trump rallies, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. I think him
Yeah.
coordinating with police officers is also very problematic. His friends coordinating with police officers is very problematic. That
Yeah.
shows that there is a kind of group link between these weird militias. Like if I could just like put on my Trump hat and then get a
Yeah.
gun and then go talk to a cop, they would probably think I'm on their side, which that is
Yeah.
extremely alarming. And that's
Yeah.
basically my if you want like the actual actions of him,
Yeah.
I think they're all unjustified shootings.
Okay. You described him as a mass murderer. Do you still stand by that statement?
Sure.
Well, technically, that's just not how the FBI
That's fine.
classifies a mass murderer.
That's fine.
Do you believe that his parents should be in jail? That's it blew my mind. I didn't see that video until today, but
Okay.
you stated that you believe that his parents should be imprisoned for raising him to I don't know, be end up being a cop. Do you
I
still
mean,
feel that
okay,
way?
so do I think they should be in prison? I'm not sure. They have some sort of reprimanding for raising a child to believe such things? Probably. Now, I'm a little hyperbolic when I say that they should be going to
Yeah,
prison, sure. But, like,
yeah.
when you put your obviously unhinged child through,
Mm,
like, a police training program, you
yeah.
know, and like you know that they're bullied in school all the time, and you know that they're very intently watching all this right-wing content online, you're
Hmm.
probably not a good parent, and I feel like there should be some culpability with that.
Oh, well, I disagree. I'm actually very familiar with the cadet program that Kyle Rittenhouse was involved in. A lot
Are
of
you a cadet?
teenagers, no,
Okay.
but a lot of my best friends are all cops,
Oof.
and a few of them they when they were teenagers they were in the cadet program,
Okay.
and you're not allowed to be, at least in Nevada, you're not allowed to be a police officer, or at least the police agency that they work for, until you're 21 years of age.
Are you
So they
in
were
Nevada?
cadet. Yeah, I am in Nevada.
Okay.
I'm in Las Vegas. This is why I got that giant ass fan behind me.
I understand.
AC's not enough, but yeah, like these people are out there doing community service essentially, and they're learning a very difficult job. Uh, the way that Kyle Rittenhouse conducted himself throughout the day was very admirable. And the thing is, I agree with you. I don't believe he should have been there at all. If I was his father, I would ground him and forbid him to ever go to these riots. Totally agree with you. You should have been wielding a weapon. Totally agree. And by the way, it's also not a machine gun. It's technically it's a long firearm.
Okay.
It's not an assault rifle either. There's no such thing.
Okay.
Or a weapon of war. The AR-15 has never been used in a single war.
I
If
don't
it
care
has,
about those
I'm not aware of it.
classifications. I'm not better or
Yeah.
work.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it just this is somebody. Intent matters. He went there to clean up the mess that Black Lives Matter activists made. And he
Are
did want
you
to.
okay? Real quick, let's agree on some basic facts here. Are you
Okay.
attributing all violence and property damage at protests to Black Lives Matter?
No,
Okay.
no, not all of it. I
Okay.
understand there's opportunists. I understand Antifa people could be a part of it, and but who else would be responsible for it? It seems like a lot of the violence that is occurring, that is more extreme, if you will, it appears to be at the hands of people who are Black Lives Matter activists or sympathetic towards Antifa. People who are throwing firebombs, these are not your run-of-the-mill looters or criminals. People who are shooting and gunning down Trump supporters, these aren't regular, these aren't regular street thugs. And Kyle isn't regular either. He is obviously a right winger. He's a Blue Lives Matter sympathizer. He wants to be a cop, and obviously he hangs out at Trump rallies. But in my estimation, even the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune certainly are in agreement with that this is a likely clear-cut case of self-defense. And you're using inflammatory language like he's a terrorist, and that his parents should be investigated or
Well,
punished in some way.
the definition of terrorism is enacting violence for political means. Is that, would you
Okay.
agree with that? I
For
would
the most part, yeah.
I would argue that having guns and going to organize with vigilante militias that support the President of the United States to
Yeah.
defend a gas station is a political mean, and he enacted violence for
Yeah.
a political purpose.
Well, that's debatable. And I was watching your videos, and
Yes.
you
Have you seen
derided.
any of them besides the Kyle ones?
I've seen quite a few.
Okay.
I think the first video that you've ever made was of Althea Bernstein, and again, I'm just in wild disagreement. We can probably talk about
That's
that
not
later
the
if you'd
first
like.
video
I
I've
know.
made.
Yeah, you have over 6,000 videos. Good hustle, man. But I was watching some of your stuff about Kyle Rittenhouse, and you derided conservatives, maybe rightfully so, for starting starting Kyle's story in the middle, or towards the part where it's obvious
What I like to say is, if you are going to start a movie at the hour and a half mark, you cannot write a review of that movie. You are not qualified to write a review.
Yes, and you yourself, despite making all these videos, you omit content that was published by the New York Times that clearly shows Kyle Rittenhouse being chased by Rosenbaum, the Black Lives Matter supporter that was using racial slurs against the militia group.
Now, at the time I released my video, I did not. That video was not widely published. I did comment on it on Twitter and so forth, but I did not feel the need to make a video about it.
Really? But that changes everything, though, don't you think?
It doesn't, though.
So your opinion of Kyle is still the same, despite this video existing? Okay.
So, describe the video in the way you see it that started the altercation.
What started the altercation is very unclear, but when the video starts, Kyle Rittenhouse is clearly being chased by Rosenbaum. There is a shot fired. There is muzzle flash visible in multiple videos published by the New York Times, or not published, but shared by the New York Times. And you clearly see, let me see, I have it right up here. Reading the criminal complaint, there is a reporter, I think it was from the Daily Mail or Daily Wire, who was present on the scene that was rendering aid to Rosenbaum. He stated that Rosenbaum was reaching for the gun. He was reaching for Kyle's firearm. Why he was chasing Rosenbaum is unclear to me. I do not know why. But, according to Robert Barnes, rock star attorney, he states that I think all throughout America, it's widely agreed upon, legally speaking, if you grab someone's gun, you are considered an armed person. So even if it's on a sling and it's on your person, if someone reaches for that, that person is considered armed and dangerous. The criminal complaint supports this. The video evidence supports this. I know the way that you framed the narrative was, you see him on the phone saying, I killed somebody. And then you see a group of people chasing him. And I don't believe and I'm just speculating here, I don't believe their intent was just to stop him and turn him into the law. It seemed like they wanted to get him. They wanted to physically harm this person. Rosenbaum being no different.
Sure. I mean, that's the problem with the entire situation.
Yeah.
And on the wider end, you've got, in my videos, I like to make it as explicitly clear as I can. Sometimes I try to repeat myself, but sometimes.
Yeah.
But this whole thing of you've got private militias defending gas stations, isn't that what we have the police for?
Yeah, certainly.
So, I don't understand why this situation occurred to begin with. So my position is if there is going to be blame, I blame mostly the organizers of the militia, and I blame the police for this. Now, I don't know anything about the people that were injured. I know apparently one of them is a sex predator. I don't okay, he's probably not a good person. That's not it. I don't care about that. All I care about is analyzing the intent of the things that happened. And from what I understand, Kyle Rittenhouse did not go there with this, I'm going to keep the peace attitude. He went there with why would you bring a gun? Why would you join an armed militia? That's what I'm more interested in.
Yeah.
Now, it's totally possible that this guy came out of nowhere and tried to harm him. That's possible. Yeah. I would even say it's probable, given the divisiveness in this country between a lot of these groups. However, the outcome being he's running in the street and then kills another person, that is just, there is no defense of that as far as I'm concerned. You can point a gun at someone as a deterrent, right? And if
not always.
But he didn't do that though. He waited until the last very minute to then point the gun and then shoot within fractions of a second. I feel like if you are going to have a gun, you need to have this proper training to know when to use it. And I think shooting at especially in the middle of the street at those other two people, I think that is absolutely heinous.
I would disagree, largely because given how chaotic the situation was, the only people that were affected by the gunfire were people that were physically assaulting him or chasing him, and one of them was armed. One of the guy who got his arm blown off. He was armed with a Glock pistol, and
So if you have a pistol, right, and you are
yeah.
intent on using it, would you run up to the person with the assault rifle or whatever it is, or would you pull out the pistol and shoot them from where you are at a safe distance?
I think that the rioters were all excited. They had the advantage of numbers on their side, and they probably felt invincible. They probably had a lot of adrenaline going through their body.
I
Kyle
would
certainly
say
did.
everyone in that
Yeah, Kyle
situation.
certainly did. Like when you were analyzing the footage of Kyle running and he looked like a dork running away. Imagine you're having a lucid dream and you're running away
I
from like a
love lucid
monster or
dreaming.
something.
Did you know
When
that?
you're like having not a lucid dream, like a nightmare, and you're running away from like a monster or something, and you can't seem to run away. Oh yeah, you know what's up, and and you can't run normal in like a nightmare, and
I
that's what I saw.
understand.
Yeah,
I just,
and
I'm a very comical person.
yeah.
I would call myself a comedian, perhaps. So if I
Oh,
see
yeah.
someone running like they're in a video game and like they're playing
Yeah.
Call of Duty, I think it's hilarious, and I'm going to comment.
No, it was
I'm not
it
making
was
a grand
interesting.
analysis, but oh god, hello, hello, hello. My
Because
internet cuts out sometimes. I missed it.
Oh,
What's up?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Are
Are we good? Okay, yeah, yeah. Goodness, where did I leave off at? Oh yeah, you were just. I was laughing at your. I actually like appreciate your sense of humor and you being able to handle your videos being ratioed and all the barrage of hateful comments from the
Oh,
4
I don't care. I do it. I get this reaction on purpose. I think it's hilarious.
No, it's none of this has ever like changed your mind though, because just your analysis of Kyle as a person, his parents, the situation, simply omitting key facts of the event, in my opinion, is problematic. Like I get you talk about the situation in real time, and it's easy to forget things, but you continue to make videos, and really important information was available, and still you continue to call him a terrorist, which he wasn't.
Well, I
Nothing
think
he
we
said that night
agreed
was.
on the fact that his impulses and his being there was
Yeah.
sort of terroristic in a sense.
No, people are allowed to open carry in the state of Wisconsin. It's totally legal.
It's totally
Even
legal for a 17-year-old to open carry in the state of Wisconsin.
in certain circumstances, yes, and even if it wasn't, it doesn't forfeit his right to defend himself. And there's no stand your ground laws, but there's also no duty to retreat laws. He exhausted all of his options for self-defense. He literally ran away from the mob, from the rioters, and in my opinion, he did everything correctly. And unfortunately, things played out the way they did. Like you, because I ended up watching the Portland video of the Patriot Prayer guy dying. You said you don't care for this person or that he's dead. I don't care.
My opinion is of the same guy that's a sex predator that Kyle killed.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's not like a ideological thing here. It's like
Yeah.
if someone's garbage and they get
Yeah.
killed, I can analyze that situation, but ultimately I don't care.
Yeah. For the most part, their criminal history, regardless of what it is, would not be germane to the topic. But when we're trying to understand the kind of people that would do this, it helps. Rosenbaum was a pedophile. I forget the skater boy's name, the guy who hit him in the head with a skateboard. He was a serial domestic abuser. This is a violent criminal. History of violence in his criminal record, and I don't know too much about the guy with the pistol. It seems like he's going to be fine, but yeah, it's a very unfortunate situation, and I agree with you. He probably shouldn't have been there, but your language, in my opinion, is hyperbolic, and maybe you're being tongue in cheek, but given how divisive the nation is, and you know this better than most people because we both talk about this stuff all the time, people are going to watch our videos and they're going to get the wrong idea. And I always totally, completely condemn violence of any type. Doesn't matter who's
Here's
doing
a
it,
question.
for what reason.
Do you
Yeah.
consider throwing a brick through a window as violence?
Yes.
Do you consider that on the same level as ending another person's life?
No, no, not necessarily. I don't believe anyone is being shot for throwing bricks, though. The people,
I personally just want to say I distinguish violence on another person between property damage. One of
yeah,
my big problems with the coverage of these protests is that people are saying,
yeah,
"Oh, they're violent," and it's just
yeah,
someone like throwing a Molotov at an empty cop car. Like
yeah,
that can be property damage. You can be against it. I'm against certain
yeah,
acts of that of property damage. Like
yeah,
I don't think small businesses should be harmed. I don't think anything
yes,
like that should be looted, whatever, right? But
yes,
to compare and contrast like someone throwing a brick through a window or burning down a Wendy's to
yeah,
human beings being massacred by police, I think that is just
yeah.
a heinous comparison.
Well, I don't know who's making that comparison and for what
I'm
reason.
just being
But,
clear with terms here.
okay, um, goodness, no, no, I did, and I was talking about this in private with some other Second Amendment people, and I would have. There's no in Wisconsin, in the state of Wisconsin, from my reading of the law, you don't have a right to end someone's life over property. So if he's standing there guarding a car lot, a car dealership, and someone's smashing up windows and damaging the vehicles, you're not allowed to do anything to them. Unfortunately, you have to let it be. But uh, property damage wasn't.
Yet we had these armed militias coordinating
Yes,
with police to do this, and that is why I am
yes.
more against Kyle Rittenhouse than I am against some random protester who got too hot for whatever. Like
Do
the
you,
whole intent there is really my main
oh,
issue.
okay. Do you know why the police are failing to do anything about the violence in the streets from the rioters? Do you know why they've essentially been neutered? Do you have any opinion on
Feel
that
free
at
to let
all?
me know.
Okay. The mayors and the governors largely control the police forces within their states. So Tony Evers, the mayor of Kenosha, these individuals are largely responsible for the police response and the lack of support from the federal government. Tony Evers deliberately rebuked President Trump's federal assistance that he offered. As a result, violent rioters roamed the streets. They targeted these small businesses, these families. Innocent business owners were violently assaulted. All of this is on video. It's not anecdotal.
Sure.
We see this, and these people are desperate. The business owners, the families who live here.
I would say the
Who,
whole country is desperate. We've had
yes,
what 40% unemployment. We've got
yes,
rising
yes,
starvation rates. We've got an
yes.
eviction crisis. So,
Yeah,
in my
largely.
opinion, as far as I'm
Yes.
concerned, the whole government is corrupt and has failed. We are
Yeah.
living in a collapsing empire. So, like,
Mhm.
I'm not. I'm totally. That my show is called Above It All because I don't
Okay.
give a crap if you come at me and say, "Well, the demon rats," because I don't care.
Yeah.
They're all
Okay.
corrupt. They're all garbage. So, like,
Okay.
when you say a demon rat governor is neutering the
Yeah.
police force, I say, okay, they're allowing their cops to shoot people unnecessarily. They're allowing their cops to kill people unnecessarily,
No,
and they
that's not
want.
true.
In a
That's
lot
not
of
true.
these cities, they are killing people for no reason.
No, that's not true at all. No,
So you're
there's
saying that there hasn't been an outbreak of police massacres?
no, no, goodness, no,
Okay.
no, absolutely not. The goodness, no, that's not. There's no evidence of that. Robert Barnes, the legal expert, one of the brightest legal minds on YouTube, he states that if there was an epidemic of racist, corrupt cops targeting people for immutable characteristics like the color of their skin, he would be more rich than he is now. It would be a very lucrative industry for attorneys if this was the case. It's not. There isn't a police bias problem. There
Are
isn't a
you
police
aware
brutality problem.
Are you aware that the FBI in the early 2000s released a memo stating that white supremacists have invaded all forms of law enforcement?
I wouldn't even know how they would be able to deduce that or come to that conclusion.
Because
Uh,
people defected from white supremacist groups and gave
okay.
the strategy out?
Yeah. Well,
Ever since Ronald Reagan was elected in the 1980s, the
yeah.
skinhead, like biker gang, like KKK kind of people
Hmm.
decided that it's not going to be good for the race war to be wearing, like, all these weird leather jackets and looking like BDSM freaks. So what they
Yeah.
said was they would clean themselves up and appeal to normies. Richard Spencer, for example, is kind of
Yeah.
one of those people that tries to appeal to normies in a way. So they wore
Yeah.
suits. If they had a clean criminal record, that kind of stuff, they would run for office. They would try to invade or interact with law enforcement. And as a
Yeah.
result, 40 years later, we have a lot of racist cops. Now, does that mean that they are on a crusade to kill black people? Not necessarily. But what it
Okay.
means is that they treat black people differently than they treat white people. And on the same token, they treat men differently than they treat women. They treat people differently based on who they are. Does that mean that they're trying to roam through the streets and, how many blacks can I kill today? No.
Yeah.
What that means, if there's a situation going on where someone is acting in a way that scares them or they feel threatened, if they are a white person, they are less likely to feel threatened. And if they are a black person, they are more likely to feel threatened. That is my thesis.
Okay. Yeah. There's. Oh goodness. There's a lot wrong. First off, about the white supremacy thing. I hear a lot of people, even people who are kind of center left. There's somebody close to me in my life who is a liberal, if you will, and he. I know, right? We're both disgusted. He states that oh goodness, what does he say? That both the far left and the far right are a problem, and a lot of people who do not share my worldview or opinions, which is fine, they can't seem to communicate clearly to me what exactly is a white supremacist and who exactly is a white supremacist. Because I like to look at words as they were intended to be used. So somebody who is white that wants to have supremacy over another group of people for whatever reasons, that would be considered a white supremacist.
They don't have to be white.
Okay, they don't have to be white. Okay, so a racial supremacist. Who exactly wants to have supremacy over minorities? Because what group specifically wants to have? Let's say what white supremacist group wants to have supremacy over black people, and for what reason? What would there be to gain for such a thing? Because I keep hearing about Nazis and stuff.
We're looking at a historical systemic problem in the United States of America. Like, the Civil Rights Act, right, did not solve racism, okay? Like, we've had these structures of slavery, right?
Yeah.
Redlining, housing discrimination, renting discrimination, and that cannot, and there's been no reparations. There's maybe the biggest dent is affirmative action, and even that's kind of a failure, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of systemic inequalities that are stemming from that. But
most of those things don't exist anymore, though.
They don't exist anymore. But, like, for example, I'm white. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a lot of poverty in my youth, okay? I would be homeless right now if it weren't for the fact that I had a family member that offered to let me live with them, and now I'm living with my family, and everything's looking pretty good right now. But I know a lot of people, particularly people of color, that don't have that family member. That don't have, like, oh shit, oops, and they're just homeless now. So, like, it is an intergenerational wealth problem. It is a family, like, problem going on where, you don't have a grandma that, like, you can stay with. You don't have someone you can ask for money. It is just a statistic game. So are there black people right now that are as struggling as much as they did in the 1930s to get a job? I don't think so. But at the end of the day, especially during this pandemic, where I covered this study that said 52% of young adults 18 to 29 are living with a parent or two.
Yeah, I saw that.
A majority of young adults are living with their family. So in a situation where people of color are typically less likely to have family members that they can live with, or that they can live with semi-comfortably, like that you don't have to share a bedroom with 4 people or whatever, that is a problem. And these problems have not been fixed. There have not been reparations. Like I said, affirmative action is maybe the best thing we've got, and that's not that great at all. And so when you have that problem and you don't fix it, sure, it's not going to be as bad as it was in the 1960s or the 1930s, but it's not going to be perfect. And so what there is right now is we have a group of people, a generation that
Yeah.
has not lived under segregation, that has not lived under slavery or all these other brutally oppressive systems of systemic racism, but they've lived with the remnants of it. Like you know, but you know, they've got this idea that I should be free, you know, because they were born free in a way. But then they feel like the society is still kind of clamping down on them. And as a result, people are a lot more polarized. Because people are a lot like, you know, people, and I use this example for the Democratic primary. You know, there were a lot of older, more conservative black people that voted for Joe Biden because they wanted to play it safe. They thought Bernie Sanders was too radical, and maybe they disagreed with him politically or whatever, but they thought he was too radical, can't have that, we got to play it safe, we can't ask for too much. And that's kind of like something that, like, when people are teenagers, that's kind of their political formation years, you know, where they start to look at the world around them and stuff, and that's kind of like how people's identities are formed. And so we're having a generation right now of young people that are being radicalized by this system of governance that isn't overtly oppressing them, but there's the remnants of oppression that is still, like, affecting them every single day. And so as a result, you've got the pushback. You've got the people, say, the white people that are of the 18, 29, 30, 40, you know, cohort that saw, oh, my dad could get away with this kind of stuff. My grandpa could get away with this kind of stuff. And so there's kind of this, you know...
What kind of stuff exactly? What kind of stuff?
I'm just getting a job. Like, getting a, like, say, oh, I want to work in advertising. It would be a lot easier to work in advertising as a white person in the 1960s than it would be in the 2020s. So they feel like they're missing out on what they could have had. You know, they're feeling like their family's generational, you know, place in the ladder or the hierarchy, they feel like it's lowering, and it is. And that's the problem, is we haven't had reparations that actually equalize the classes and the races and all that stuff. You know, and as a result, you've got people that wish they had what their dad had, and they've got people that want to have more than what their dad had, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. So when I say white supremacist, to round this out, when I say white supremacist, I don't mean someone that's, like, got SS tattooed on their forehead and has, like, neo-Nazi, like, they're collecting, like, you know, like, SS war medals, and they've got, like, it's not what I'm necessarily meaning. White supremacist is someone who wants to kind of reserve or conserve the order of the 1960s. So when we look at the slogan, "Make America Great Again," what does that mean? What is the era where America was great? Because as far as I'm concerned, there has never been a point in American history where the country could be considered great for all people. Maybe, like, you can say, like, after World War II, everyone got together, unless you were black, unless you were gay, unless you were transgender, you know, like, unless you were Japanese. God, you know, they had concentration camps in America for Japanese citizens. So it's like...
that president is a darling of the far left, by the way.
I disagree with that assertion.
Oh, he is.
As a far leftist, I am far left. You know, you look at any political compass, the quadrant one. I'm like, you multiply that by 4, and I'm, like, further down and to the left. I am all the way in the bottom left corner, as you can get. It is impossible to get any further left.
So, okay, how about socialists like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
She's not a socialist.
Yeah, really? What do you think
I wish she was a socialist. She's like a social democrat at best. But anyway, FDR was, I think, one of the best presidents we've had. That doesn't mean he's good.
The racist who put innocent Americans in camps?
Yes.
What they accused Trump of doing, he actually did?
That's how bad the presidents are. I think Abraham Lincoln is probably up for running as one of the best presidents. But even he was a bigot. Even he was a racist. So it's like, when we say there's going to be people out there that go like, FDR is great, and, you know, they're kind of silly and they need to read some more history books. But what we're talking about here is, like, FDR propelled, like, and I personally think the New Deal was kind of a sham. You know, I'm an anarchist communist, you know, like, so in the 1920s and 30s, when the New Deal was haggled, it was at the expense of anarchists and communists, because they thought there was going to be a revolution, and they said, we need to do something about this. So it's not like FDR was like Bernie Sanders. FDR is kind of like Joe Biden, in the sense that this guy ran as a liberal, ran as a Democrat before the Southern Strategy Party shift, mind you, right? And then implemented these somewhat good, decent policies that have lasted, like Social Security, which is pretty good. And as a result, I think he's the best president, at least policy-wise, like the kind of stuff he enacted on a net positive. But obviously, he's garbage. They're all garbage.
Yeah.
So?
All right. Well, it's nice to see what you mean by white supremacist or Nazi.
Does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
Well, I get it. I don't largely agree with everything. Like, I understand, let's say, Black Americans not feeling great about things that occurred in the recent past, and it being a difficult topic for most people to handle. And it probably doesn't help that the lying press would, bombard all Americans with, this racial justice nonsense, false narratives that are just demonstrably untrue about the police or white men specifically. And people do need to talk about it, but they need to do so honestly, because when people start making claims that are just completely untrue, like for example, I mentioned earlier that I'm against violence, and I will never, apologize for or make excuse for people who commit senseless acts of violence, like genuine mass shooters. Dave Chappelle came out with a special. It was a comedy special for Netflix, I think, and he invoked the names of Christopher Dorner, Micah Johnson, and I think Eugene Brown. These were 3 mass shooters. They were all black men. They were ex-military, ex-cops. And I guess the whole point of the show was to say these guys they swore an oath to do good, and then they saw bad. And then, they did what they did. They killed a lot of innocent people. Most of the people that were killed were police. They were ambushed and sniped at and all this other stuff.
I am not familiar with these cases, so...
Oh, they were a big deal. I think Micah Johnson in 2016 in, I believe, Dallas, Texas, ended up shooting 5 to 6 officers, maybe 10. I don't know the exact number, but it was a mass shooting. The cops died. It was crazy. Probably one of the reasons why Donald Trump got elected. It was this and Pulse nightclub, and nobody seemed to have been on the left. Doesn't matter how left they are. Nobody on the left was able to condemn the actions of this individual, not even the president himself. He basically pulled a Donald Trump and said, oh, well, there's issues on both sides type shit.
Yet, you'll see Barack Obama, Mr. Barry, use federal agents to quell an uprising in Ferguson or Standing Rock.
No, absolutely.
You'll see them pass these militarization bills that give over excess military equipment after Occupy Wall Street. So, my thing is, as far as I'm concerned, if you are simping for a political candidate, who has a track record of being garbage, it's hard to respect. And this goes for Donald Trump, this goes for Barack Obama, this goes for Joe Biden. You can make these arguments of, lesser evil or whatever, but, if you're going to try to sit here and tell me, and this goes for Bernie Sanders as well, for that, my favorite politician. Favorite does not mean I agree with him on everything. Favorite does not mean he is a saint. He is just the best of the bunch, Yeah,
I used to work for him.
That's interesting.
I volunteered for him in 2016, and I got sick of being called a sexist by Hillary Clinton and her supporters, so I voted for Trump. But
you're one of the
phone calls. I made the phone calls.
13%?
Yeah, I'm one of those 13%. I took as many Bernie bros with me. We were burn victims, and we never looked back. We went full MAGA ever since.
See, that's weird. My thing is, again, it's weird to support Donald Trump. I think it's a grift, personally, because you don't seem like a dumb person. You seem like, we disagree. But this whole thing where you have "Make America Great Again," you got the Trump sticker on there. That just seems like a grift to me.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm exposing you a little bit.
No, you're not exposing me at all. No, I legitimately voted for Trump. I have pictures on Instagram to prove it because I know people wouldn't believe me because I was very vocal about my support for Bernie Sanders. Really quick, why I supported him. I think we should obviously do anything about healthcare because our healthcare sucks, obviously. And he had very intelligent things to say about immigration. Having open borders is suicide for the nation. The only other candidate that shared that belief was Trump. Bernie Sanders doesn't share this worldview anymore. Now he might as well be a neocon. Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang are further to the left. he might as well. I'm not a neoliberal. My bad. He might as well be a neolib at this point, because Tulsi Gabbard and Yang were further to the left than he was.
No. I'm
I would do
sorry.
that.
The 2020 Bernie campaign was without a doubt the most radical left agenda and manifesto ever published.
I disagree.
Tulsi Gabbard is friends with a fascist dictator of India. Andrew Yang's UBI program was not a good UBI because it called for cutting social welfare programs. His foreign policy is garbage. He is an Israel apologist. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't accept that. Bernie Sanders was the only presidential candidate to even mention the political imprisonment of Lula da Silva in Brazil. Like, he put so many points on the board as far as being a leftist. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sorry.
At the time, I agreed. And then, of course, Trump proved himself to be, in my opinion, a great president. And I can't say the same. I can't feel the same way anymore about someone like Sanders. He's just... again, none of these people can condemn violence. None of these people can condemn the Black Lives Matter activists that are, doing all the things that they're doing.
So, okay, are Black Lives Matter activists? Now, when you say activists, are you talking about people that have affiliations to groups that host protests? Or are you talking about people that attend protests?
People who attend protests, they wear the shirts, they wave the flags, they do the chanting and the singing. Those people are activists. You don't need to be a part of any special membership to be an activist or to attach yourself to Black Lives Matter, the organization or the movement, whatever you'd like to call it. These people are committing acts of violence, and they are looting under the banner of Black Lives Matter. This is completely on them, and they are being protected by the corporate press. They are being protected by the Democratic establishment.
I disagree. Really? I mean, you have Joe Biden out there saying he wants to charge anarchists with the fullest extent of the law. Joe Biden just, I think a week ago, said that he condemns riots and looting, and he invoked the words of MLK to do so. I did a video on this. I recommend watching it, because MLK's famous quote is, "Riots are the voices of the unheard." And so I think we have a situation where both corporate gangster parties are against protests and activists.
Well,
you have Kamala Harris, who's a prosecutorial cop.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with the Joe Biden's response. These riots have been going on all throughout summer, and he's been in hiding. He isn't campaigning. It's also going to be one of the reasons why he loses, and we're going to have another 4 years of Trump because he refuses to campaign.
We'll see.
I don't think he's able to. Well, I bet a lot of money that he will, and
you bet
I'm
money.
Wrong.
All right, okay.
Yeah, and I also bet in 2016. I bet $2,000 that Donald Trump would win, and I made a fat ton of fucking money. Even people who bet a few $100s ended up with a few thousand. Just because the odds were abysmal in Trump's favor. Nobody saw that coming. They were paying out people who bet money on Hillary Clinton. They before the election was even over, the day before they announced who won.
I personally don't think we're even going to have an election, but maybe we can talk about that later.
Hey, that who knows, for another time, I suppose. But yeah, goodness. So let's talk about the shooting in Portland.
Sure.
Really quick, how would you describe what took place in Portland, Oregon, with the murder of Jay Bishop, the Patriot Prayer member?
So I will say the video evidence that I have seen is very inconclusive. We do not have like an up close and personal account, at least to my understanding. So if you want to link me something that completely changes that, it's totally possible that new evidence that has came about. But one thing that we know about Portland that has been a thing for the past 3 to 4 years, ever since Trump started campaigning, is Portland is seen as a small blue dot in an ocean of red, in the sense that Portland is a very left-leaning city, and all the surrounding suburbs and all the surrounding towns are very conservative. And so as a result, you've had groups like Proud Boys, Patriot Front, Patriot Prayer, all these other groups come in and out of Portland over the past few years. Yeah. And we know that one of the police chiefs and some of the highest ranking police officials in the Portland Police Department, which, by the way, Ted Wheeler could have fired or could have exchanged or could have put any checks and balances on at all. We know that they have been working with these right-wing groups. Okay?
Yeah.
And do you agree with that frame?
Well, I have no idea. I only know Patriot Prayer and Proud Boys. I'm not familiar with the other groups. I'm not familiar with the activities that the establishment, the political class is up to, and who they're mingling with. That just doesn't sound likely to me. I was listening to Robert Barnes and Viva Fry earlier, and apparently there's a lot of there's political issues. There's political bias in the judicial system, and it leans heavily left. So to hear this, maybe it's true. I don't know though, so I can't
judicial
say.
System of Oregon, Portland, or federally?
Oregon.
Okay, that's possible. I don't live there. Yeah. But either way, what we saw on the day of Jay Bishop being shot and killed or murdered, was we had a convoy, a caravan, potentially. Maybe it's not close enough to the election to bring that word out, but we had a group of trucks with people with paintball guns and bear mace. Bear macing people. They don't know if they're protesters. They don't know if they're civilians. It just indiscriminately bear macing and firing pepper balls at journalists and so on and so forth. And during this several hour-long event where the Trump people were going through Portland, the police were not present, and they did not try to tell the Trump people to leave. They did not protect anyone from the Trump people. They just weren't there. And so when the Trump people started leaving, that's when police showed up. As with most protests. Now, I've been to a lot of these violent protests. Like I've said, I used to live in Washington, D.C., and I used to do anti-fascist organizing. And so I've been to a lot of these violent protests in 2017, 18, and 19. Okay, so I'm very familiar with a lot of these tactics, right? The right-wingers show up, the police protect them, they instigate people, and then they leave, and then the cops beat the shit out of people. I've literally been feet away from cops, like, batoning people. I have first-hand experience with how that works. I'm just upping you with my credentials here. But
no, you're cool. You're cool. You're on the ground. I dig it. And you said that you were also beat. You said you got your ass beat by the cops once or twice?
I was swatted.
Oh, you were swatted?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So I'm going to assume someone from 4chan did that?
Yes, Adam Waffen. Are you familiar with Adam Waffen?
I've heard of it. I think they're an internet right-wing troll group, something to that effect.
They're a neo-Nazi organization, and they have establishments in Germany as well. It's very interesting. They also accept kill lists from a Mr. Andy No, you may know. Well, that's a whole thing you can look up. I've got swatting videos.
I dispute that.
Okay, all right. But you can look if you want to hear my swatting story. You can just go on my YouTube channel. I've made a few videos about it.
I will.
Good.
Okay, so
you gotta leave
back
the comments.
to
the police were not checking the protests until the Trumpers started leaving. Yeah. And so what you have is you have groups like the Patriots Prayer, right, that did not leave when most of the Trumpers left. They kind of lingered. And they were causing a lot of problems. And so once the nightfall happens, once the police actually start marching out like stormtroopers, right? That's when things get really violent. You never see these violent altercations happening en masse during the middle of the day. It's always when the dark happens. It's harder to capture on video, that kind of stuff. People are more tense, the tensions are high, and I don't know exactly what happened, because as far as I know, there is no clear video oh, look at them, oh no, it's from across the street, so all I know is that people are screaming at each other. The Patriot Prayer group has been all day bear macing people, out of pickup trucks and so forth, and they approach someone, and it turns out this guy has a gun, and this guy just shoots the guy, not asking questions, not deterring anything at all, just shoots the guy. Now again, and now he was executed a couple days ago by police, which is very interesting, but I thought that would have been a very interesting thing to see play out, but that's not the case. So we don't really know, and unless you have any video evidence that shows, we don't know if it was self-defense. It's possible it was.
I don't believe he was telling the truth.
At the same time, I don't endorse killing people. I feel like if you want to pull a gun on someone and say get the fuck away from me, that's okay. But as soon as you decide to shoot someone in the center of mass in a kill shot, that's where I'm just I check out of that conversation.
But But what you were doing though is that you're kind of you're setting up the situation, bringing up the Trump truck parade, and by the way, I'm in total disagreement with shooting people with paintball guns. I don't know, maybe this makes me a cuck, but those people never should have driven through Portland.
You're a
It's
cuck.
obviously bad news, and
Canceled. You got
yeah,
canceled.
I'm gonna be canceled on the right. I'm gonna have to start waving the Antifa flag if you guys will
Hey, I
accept me.
got a couple. I got a couple. So.
But yeah, there's two sides of that story. It's like on one hand, these people do have a right to drive through Portland or whatever city, waving their Trump flags and shit.
Sure.
If they are having things thrown at them, I don't know if it's okay to shoot back or to mace people, but people were throwing rocks at them. There's videos of people
Sure.
on the
And
freeway
my
dropping
thing
rocks
is like
onto.
we have the police. We've seen Portland police,
Yeah,
very effectively use tear gas and riot control agents over the past
yeah,
100 days. Why weren't they there? So
yeah.
that's my
Good
thing. Is
question.
they're
Good question.
creating. It's the corporate media, the corporate gangsters in the White House and Congress. It's
Yeah,
all a game to them. And so my general thesis is it's 99% versus 1%. It's every
yeah,
single person who's not a multimillionaire versus the multimillionaires and the billionaires and the global pedophiles and the Epsteins and the
yeah,
Soroses and the Bill Gates and the Bezoses. As far as I'm
yeah,
concerned, what they are doing is they're trying to incite a race war. They're trying to
yeah,
incite this violence between Republican and Democrat and just festering instead of just,
yeah,
because they don't want us to realize, hey, fuck you, Bezos.
yeah,
You just doubled your wealth in a pandemic where,
yeah,
millions of people are probably projected to die over the next couple of years, and you've already
yeah,
doubled your wealth. So that's interesting, right? So I think that this is all part of the plan for them. So, and as
yeah,
far as people on the ground, I totally understand why
yeah,
people who live in Portland would feel afraid if Trump caravans are running through with paintball guns. I totally understand why Trump people would be afraid
yeah,
if an Antifa approaches them with like a gun or whatever. I totally get it.
yeah,
And the thing here
yeah.
is tensions are high and they
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be. And so when
Yeah.
I pin blame on the police for
Mm.
only policing left-wing protests, right? If you look at the
Well, they're the
Michigan
only ones protesting. They're the
well,
only
look at
ones
the Michigan
protesting.
State Capitol from March when you had
Yeah.
those armed gunmen take control of the state house. The
All
cops didn't do
lawful.
anything. They
All
lawful,
lawful.
sure, but if Black Panther showed up, hundreds of them with guns, do you think that
I
would
wouldn't
have
care.
remained lawful?
I well now I don't know what they would have done. I personally wouldn't care if they behave themselves like the anti-lockdown protesters. It wouldn't matter to me. But is it not concerning to you that peaceful anti-lockdown protesters who didn't kill anybody, didn't destroy any small businesses, didn't rape people? Is it weird that they were labeled terrorists by the mainstream press, by the Democratic establishment, and even leftists? But people who are genuinely rioting, destroying people's lives, killing
I
innocent Americans,
yes, I
they get treated
agree.
with kids' gloves. Even President Biden or Vice President Biden
You're getting
was
ahead
not
of
able to
yourself.
condemn this. I know, goodness, he's not even able to condemn this violence until a week ago. Until now, the Vegas betting odds are saying that who's going to be president. It's 50-50.
I mean, in
RCP
his
aggregate.
defense, he was taking a nap, and it gets
Oh yeah,
when you get to that
he's
age,
at that
it can
age.
last a
Yeah,
while. But my thing is here, like we are being played. We are pawns in a chess match,
yeah,
and the whole "Make America Great Again" thing. I'm sorry, but like if you support either one of them, it's just cringy.
yeah.
Like I
Well,
don't know, like if you want to say I support Trump because he's funnier and like I
yeah,
get like a kick out of it and can make money off of it, that's fine. But as far as policy goes, I mean, look at the corona
yeah.
like his response. I don't know, it's just a disaster.
What was he supposed to do? Like, okay, if you were the president, you had a magic wand to do whatever you wanted. How would you have responded? Honestly,
Like thousands of dollars to every family every month
really.
throughout the pandemic. I would have done a
Okay.
proper lockdown that didn't result in people losing their jobs. I would have not printed $3.5 trillion for corporations. I would have
Yeah.
not give corporate people bailouts and tax cuts while letting small businesses fall under. I would have not
Yeah.
given 90-something% of small business loans to big corporations that were classifying
Yeah.
themselves as small business loans for the small business loans. Like I would have just made sure that the people were okay. We have a situation where we have like millions and millions of starving children during
Yeah,
this
I'm aware.
pandemic. We've got an eviction crisis. Trump did an eviction moratorium, right?
Yeah.
But he did not do a rent moratorium. So these same people who do not have jobs, and the
Yeah.
unemployment thing ran out, and now they're getting less money from that, they're
Yeah.
somehow going to have to come up with like $5,000 of back rent in December or January. Ha!
Yeah.
Right? All it's doing is
Yeah.
kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
So as far
Well,
as I'm concerned, it's a massive failure.
Yeah. Well, I would have preferred everyone do nothing. There was no need to do anything at all. In my opinion, I have clinical experience. The response was so exaggerated. I don't like centralized government, and a lot of these states are, the governors are making all the decisions, and it's catastrophic. Because of the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, the president can't lock down the state. He can't jail people for standing on sand or refusing to wear masks. This is happening on the local level. And
No, for sure.
laws,
Every politician, why I say every elected official on every level has failed.
Yeah.
Not just Trump, not just
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi, not Mitch, every single one. Bernie Sanders failed. Okay? Ed Markey failed. AOC failed. Every single
Yeah.
one has failed. Andrew Cuomo is out there,
Yeah.
oh, we did the mountain. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but what about cutting Medicaid? What about putting all COVID victims in nursing homes? Like, they've all failed.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
he's the worst. He's the worst. I
Andrew
can't stand
Cuomo
that
is
guy.
awful. He's terrible.
A sensible Antifa person. Who would have thought?
I'm like, this is the thing. 100% of Antifa hates Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But
Well, it's hard to tell what you guys are up to or what you believe. Or
that's why I
or
make my
what.
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I'm very explicit with what we believe. So
Okay.
subscribe.
Okay. I watch. I don't know if I'll subscribe. We'll see. Goodness. I thought this conversation would be more contentious because I was watching the videos and you were just using like insanely inflammatory language about Kyle Rittenhouse and his family, and I'm just like, well, fuck. What do I expect?
Well, it's a
and it's like I'm
systemic problem.
prepared.
It's a generational problem. Do I think we need to lock up everyone who supports Trump? No. But we need to seriously, as a society, figure out why people want to make America great again.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Hillary's 2016 slogan in response to Trump was, America's already great. And now what is Trump's slogan? We're going to keep America great. Literally copying and pasting Hillary's 2016 slogan. So I just think it's all a sham.
Yeah.
So
most of her, I think most of it was like, I'm with her, or it's her turn. I think those are the
Still
more,
with her.
or something, something to that effect. Goodness.
They're still withering.
Yeah, no, goodness. I can't stand the Clintons. There's just no fucking way that I would have voted for her, even if I absolutely hated Trump. But no, I think
I
he's been
voted
great.
for Jill Stein, just for the
Oh,
record.
good for you. Good. Do you think she's a Russian asset?
Oh, she's totally a Russian asset. That's why I
Oh,
voted
really?
for her.
Yeah, I've been ever since I started gaining popularity on YouTube. I've been getting like weird people adding me on Facebook, and I just tell them I work for the Russians. I'm an operative for the Russian government.
I work for the Soviet Union. I'm actually a time traveler.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so.
that's awesome. Good for you. But yeah, back to the Portland thing. Goodness, we don't want to get distracted. Because you made this comment, and it stuck with me. You asked conservatives, if you're going to, let's say, simp for Kyle Rittenhouse, why would you not extend that courtesy to Michael Reinl or Reinl, whatever? Yeah,
That guy's last name, like, as someone who types in YouTube titles, I hate that guy. Get a normal last name. No, seriously though.
Do you still feel that way?
I do. Like,
Really?
if you're gonna say Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself, I mean, again, we don't know. I don't know, but like this like immediate I get a lot of MAGA boomers in my YouTube comments, like Facebook tablet users, like they're not intelligent, and so when they see like left-wing Antifa, they immediately see red, and so like when I say that kind of stuff, I'm just mocking them in that kind of way. Obviously, every specific context has nuance, and you can analyze everything. Now, I think it's totally possible he acted in self-defense, and like I said, I think it's totally possible Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense. That were the story before that is what I'm really analyzing. Is to my understanding, Michael Reinl knew people in Portland. Was with people in Portland, was just there, didn't really know much about what was going on, and got caught up. Whereas Kyle Rittenhouse went to Kenosha to organize with a militia to
Yeah.
protect the gas station. And those are the key things that I think are different here.
Yeah. Oh no. That's actually very wrong. Vice News had a exclusive with the Rhino.
I saw a
They
few
had
bits of that.
you need to see the whole thing because he was notified of what was going on.
Okay.
And he got armed. He didn't know what to expect, but he did go down there, down to where this happened, knowing full well that the situation was intense, to put it mildly. And there is I think it was the warrant that was issued for his arrest, and there
I know
was
he was
street.
arrested in like Olympia, Washington, which is quite a bit
Yeah,
away.
yeah, but the warrant for his arrest though had a camera footage that wasn't from a civilian. It was from a like a CCTV type camera, and this individual appeared to have been stalking Jay Bishop and his friend with the last name Papas, and the president's son quoted he quoted a video, something to the effect of, "We got one right here. We got a Trump supporter right here." And then you hear this one question mark, yeah, right here. And then you hear the shots. There's multiple videos.
It's not Trumper. It's we got a couple right here. That's a very big difference.
But they said, did they not say Trump supporter?
No,
I'm almost
no. They
really?
said we got a couple over here.
You sure they don't say Trump supporter?
They may have before that, but not the quote that you're quoting is we got a couple over here.
Yeah, well, I had to see it for myself, and it appears that the president's son was quoting the video accurately, and this doesn't suggest to me that it was self-defense. If it was self-defense, one, he wouldn't have ran. He would have been protected by the prosecutors. And he also brings up, it's like, oh, I was defending my person of color friend. Well, where is this friend? Who is this person?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks there. And that's the thing, is like, there's, he was in that moment and decided to propagandize a lot of things.
Yes.
But, like, one of the things that, like, I don't know if he was stalking. I don't know what constitutes stalking. Like, maybe if they were following them around a couple blocks or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Like, either way, obviously,
what it looks like.
Like, the guy shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have had a gun, and he shouldn't have shot someone. And the same can be said for the Trump guys. Because, like, that guy that was killed is on video defending a white supremacist terrorist who killed people on a train for being Muslim. So it's like, these are part of groups that I don't like. And so, the difference is Patriot Prayer is an organization. It is a group. They have, like, a Facebook page. They've got, they organize. They, like, you see
Antifa
Joey
does the same thing. Black Lives Matter does the same thing.
There's a difference, though. You see, like, Joey Gibson showing up at all these protests. Like, they're an organization. Antifa is not an organization. Now, there can be Antifa organizations, but to my understanding, Michael Ryanel was not part of an Antifa organization. He was just some random dude, right, that people had on speed dial who was, like, kind of like a tough man. I think it was like a vet of some kind or whatever. Yeah. So it's like, you're at a protest, you see a bunch of Trumpers, you just get your, like, oh, I know this guy. He's a vet. Let me get him on speed dial and then just get him over here. It's less organized. And that's kind of the big distinction here, is a lot of people think that, like, oh, Antifa.com redirects to Joe Biden, it's exposed, right? Like, that's hilarious. Boomers, I can't believe them. But, like, the idea here is that Antifa is not an organization in the same way that Patriot Prayer is an organization. And that's the thing here, is it's just more ragtag, more decentralized, and, like, way more random. And so you get, and the tensions, of course. Like, when you go into a situation, there's Trumpers shooting paintballs at people, there's bear mace going on, you're probably going to be more quick to fire that gun. And both of those people shouldn't have been there. Yeah.
Well, they didn't have any weapons on them. Papas or Jay Bishop.
That's totally possible. I buy it.
No, I mean, we know this. We know these people weren't armed. Okay. So again, he says that, he thought he was going to die and his friend was going to die. The person of color, the imaginary.
I'm very skeptical of that claim.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't see how these events are the same at all. And again, you deride Kyle Rittenhouse for being like this militia boy. I mean, isn't Ryanel doing the same thing, showing up with a vest and a gun?
In a way,
But you defend him, though. And
I didn't defend him. I mean, if you've watched my videos, I didn't say, oh, I agree. You know, when I made the first video, there was not that much information. I don't know if you saw my follow-up video. I made like a 20-ish minute follow-up. I'm not sure if you saw that. That was when more information came out, and it was more clear that this guy is not someone you want, right? And that video was more of like trying to clarify what Antifa is, how this kind of happened, why these things occur, and it gives that kind of like historicizing on what Portland is. Portland is kind of like a battleground, and these Trump supporters have been coming in and wreaking havoc for multiple years now. And groups like Patriot Prayer and like all these kind of groups, they have been doing this for years. And so like, you know, when you've got this like increasing tensions, right? And now we've got this situation where like the conservatives think that black people are going to run through their small rural town in North Carolina and set the whole town on fire, right? Because they're just stupid. And then you've got all these people that are ostensibly left-wing or ostensibly Antifa thinking that Trump supporters are going to go kill them en masse. And let's be honest, like, a lot of the mass shootings have been Trump supporters. Look at the El Paso shooting, most notably, for, like, the highest profile Trump-supporting shooting. Right? So it's like, it's not necessarily...
That guy hated Trump. That guy hated Trump. I read his manifesto. He hates Trump.
Espousing similar views, either way. Probably hates Trump for not being too far right enough. You know? But, we're living in this society, and it's all, like, puppeteering by the corporate gangsters in the White House and in Congress, and at every level of state government. So that's my thesis.
If you genuinely feel this way, that regular people shouldn't be fighting amongst themselves, then why use insanely inflammatory language against people like Rittenhouse and people who support him because they're pro 2A, they're pro self-preservation?
I'm pro 2A.
I mean, are you feeding into this narrative that the corporate gangsters want to put us down? They want to put us down this path of regular people fighting amongst each other, and that seems like exactly what you're doing.
I disagree. There's a bug flying on my window.
Oh,
anyway,
no, you're fine.
I disagree because my thing is I don't have a large platform. Like, a couple of my videos will get, like, 10,000 views, and that's cool, and I make a lot of money. But, like, I don't have a large platform. If I had a platform of, like, millions of subscribers, I would change my behavior based on that. So that's just fully explicit. Like, if you look at a lot of my older videos, I've changed my behavior since then. So my platform and what I say and how I say it is usually it's kind of based on what the people watching my videos are. And I totally 100% will do that reactionary headlines and do that stuff to get people in. And if you watch a lot of my content, like more generally speaking, or if you interact with me in comments more generally speaking, you will know I don't endorse violence and murder, right? Like, I bring people in because that's what people search. Search engine optimization, you know, that's what people come in. And I am a leftist. Again, I am as hardcore of a leftist as humanly possible. I challenge you, and no, tankies don't count. So, but like, I totally think Kyle Rittenhouse is way more in the wrong than Michael Ryanel just because of the vigilante militia thing, right? But I didn't defend Michael Ryanel, but I also, at the time when I made that first video, I did know who Jay Bishop was. I knew who this guy was. I knew who his friends were. I don't know him personally.
You know Jay Bishop. Oh, okay.
No, I don't know personally, but I've heard his name at protests. You know, I've seen Joey Gibson at protests. I've seen that guy, like, person to person, you know? Like, I know a lot of these people. And so when I see the President of the United States saying, "Rest in peace, Jay," when Jay is someone who has defended neo-Nazis, who works with the Jeremy Christian guy.
I don't know who Jeremy Christian is.
He is the guy who killed people on a train because he said, like, death to all Muslims, and then people were like, yo, please stop doing that, and they got into an altercation. He got a knife out and stabbed a bunch of people. Jay Bishop was defending that guy and saying he was defending himself against vigilantes. I don't know. You can find it.
I'd have to look into it. It sounds familiar, but it's ancient history at this point.
My point is, like, I know this guy is not good. So when you have the president saying, "Rest in peace, Jay," right? That's problematic for me. Like, this guy's connected to neo-Nazi organizations. Maybe he's not a neo-Nazi himself. Maybe he is. I don't know. But he has defended people that are convicted neo-Nazis. And to me, that raises a red flag. You know, and so that was the whole point in that. I wasn't necessarily defending Michael Reinl, but I needed to
Yeah.
make it explicitly clear that this guy is not a martyr who was killed. This guy is
Yeah.
not like a saint. This guy is not a peaceful protester. This guy
Yeah.
is someone who came there to incite violence, who has a history of inciting violence,
Yeah.
and I do not shed a single tear for him dying.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah, but just based on the evidence that exists now, it's pretty clear that they were following the Jay Bishop, and I don't know Jay Bishop the way that you might. I never heard of Jay Bishop before. I don't know any Patriot Prayer people. I know some Proud Boy people, but no Patriot Prayer people. As far as I've seen, none of them have ever committed any acts of violence. I don't know about this train event that you speak of. It sounds familiar, but I don't know too much about it. But usually, Patriot Prayer is on the receiving end of attacks, like Andy No, like Tim Pool, whenever he was active out there. These people, are generally peaceful, and I saw the footage like everyone else did. They were just walking, and they got shot. And I can't help but think, the events in Kenosha ended up sparking it.
Probably.
And Robert Barnes, the legal attorney, he stated that we should be asking ourselves what conditions exist to give someone like Kyle the idea to go out in public with a gun to defend property. And, when the cops won't do it, the governors and the mayors won't do it, and these business owners are desperate, they'll take any help they can get. And you have people standing around, and then they're being chased and antagonized, and then guns start going off. And then everyone like us reacts. I was very, very careful not to make videos about like George Floyd or even Kyle Rittenhouse until I had all the facts. And fortunately for us, video exists, so we know what happened. We know what was going on. And it just seems really unfair to just smear and malign this guy. I probably won't do a video about Michael Reinl because there's still too many unknowns. But just knowing how the Patriot Prayer people have conducted themselves in the past, it seems like that Michael Reinl was deliberately looking, to start some trouble, and his family has condemned him.
Yeah,
the sister has come out and condemned him, and it's kind of a deadbeat dude. Up to no good,
making trouble in the neighborhood.
Yeah, so you know the deal. So Robert Barnes also said something about Antifa. He said that Antifa operates like terrorist cells. Do you agree with that?
No.
The way that you guys organize and conduct your business in the streets.
When I did a lot of anti-fascist organizing a year and a half to 2 years ago, it was mostly mutual aid, mostly helping poor people get food, mostly helping homeless people have shelter. That's most of anti-fascist work, because at least back then there weren't protests every single day. A protest would be like once every 2 weeks, maybe once a month. And so in a lot of the off time, people that were anti-fascists were just helping out the community. And so now we're in a situation where there's a lot of people, especially now in the last 90 to 100 days, there's a lot of onboarding. There's a lot of instigators. There's a lot of problem actors that are infiltrating Antifa, infiltrating conservative groups. And this is so it's hard to track. But do I think Antifa acts as terrorist cells? No. If that's the case, where are their terror attacks? I don't see property damage as a terror attack. I just don't. If you're blowing up Section 8 housing or something, that's a terror attack. But if you're just throwing a Molotov into a Wendy's or something, I don't really see that as a terror attack. And then it's also I don't. If anything, it's a terror attack against corporations, which I right?
Yeah, I'm not shedding tears for Wendy's or Target.
My thing is this could all have been prevented. Why? Okay, I have a question for you. Right?
Okay.
If Trump is campaigning on law and order, is it or is it not extortion to not do anything right now and to say, if you reelect me, then I will fix things? Is that not extortion?
No, and here's why. Trump can't roll into any specific state and
so why is he promising to do that?
He will likely it's being rumored that the Insurrection Act will be invoked, and he will go ahead and decide to quell the violence that way. But it seems like he's found workarounds.
Why does he do it now, though?
Largely because he will be called a fascist if he does so. If cities are being, overrun, if you will, by military personnel, by an organized federal unit, they will say this is Trump's America. This is fascism. This is evil Drumfler.
And that's
Orange
not
Man is
going to
coming to get
happen
us.
on November 5th?
Who knows? Who knows? If we're lucky, the governors will decide to call in the National Guard. They'll reach out to Trump, and they will decide to, bring about peace in the cities again. But right now, the governors and the mayors and some local police officials, they are refusing to protect the citizenry, and they are allowing Black Lives Matter activists and Antifa to, do whatever they want. And there's no recourse. The only defense some of these people have are idiots like Kyle Rittenhouse, who show up, who don't have any
work experience. Wouldn't it have been a lot more simple to just make sure that there weren't starving children, to make sure that poor people had health care?
That's not why people are rioting, though.
It is, though. It is.
No, they're right. Were they not initially rioting because of the death of George Floyd?
Police brutality is a problem, but when you've got people that are starving, that are homeless, there's a lot of people that right now their livelihoods are tied up in protest activity. Right? Yeah. Like they're in someone's on someone's couch, organizing a protest in their local town or whatever. So wouldn't it have been a lot easier to say, all right, maybe cops are too militarized. Maybe let's roll back Barack Obama's let's give excess military equipment to police. Maybe let's roll that back. All right, I get it. Healthcare crisis, coronavirus. Let's just make sure all poor people, let's make it everyone has healthcare. Okay. Starving children not getting the nutrition that they need to grow into being productive members of society. Yeah. All right, let's expand food stamps. Right? I just spat all over the.
You're fine.
I spit sometimes. But wouldn't that have been simpler than engaging in this law and order, rioters and looters thing for the past 4 months or so? Wouldn't that have been much simpler?
Well, I mean, if these people are, starving, the people who are out in the streets rioting, if it was about food, like you stated, then they wouldn't be, stealing sneakers and shit. They wouldn't be robbing the malls.
Is they are though. You're lumping in a lot of different contingents. Some person breaking into a Foot Locker in Minneapolis has no connection to someone who's starving in, Houston. Or someone who's, protesting against police brutality in Los Angeles after someone got... these are all... this is a decentralized thing. So when you say something like BLM, Antifa, that's not the case. A lot of these people reject both of them, and they're still protesting. So this is a giant thing. It's not just BLM, Antifa, it's not just rioters and looters. There was a study that came out that said 93% of protests were peaceful, right? I live in bumfuck motherfuck North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
So I went to all the protests that were organized in my town. Literally, everyone was just talking oh, how are you handling, the pandemic? How are you feeling? Everything, it was just everyone chatting. And that's kind of what the protests are. And then we talk to the cops. And then the cops were like, all right, we really want to help y'all out. And that's great. And that's how a lot of the protests are in a lot of these areas. It just so happens that there's cities like Portland, Minneapolis, right, Chicago, Kenosha that are a lot more violent. So I think it's kind of unnecessary.
But we've seen this violence. It's in my city too. I'm in Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's a major city.
Yeah, even our governor rebuked the president of the United States, an officer. I didn't personally know him, but my friends do. He was a young guy. He's actually a few years younger than me. And he was shot in the head by one of these activists, and he's going to be paralyzed for the rest of his life.
That sucks.
And they looted and they targeted. There's a lot of hipsters downtown where a lot of this happened.
That's not surprising. I've been to Vegas. There's some fucked up Looney Tunes there.
Yeah, and I'm originally a hipster. I'm people say I'm an alt hipster, whatever that means. And a vegan shop was destroyed. I'm
offended. As a soy boy, I am extremely offended.
Oh yeah, you're soying out. But yeah, the governor said, it's oh well, Trump just can't come in here and do what he wants. Rah 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 rah. We hear this all the time. And
well, that's the thing. Is again, they're both. It's kabuki theater. Orange man bad. How dare you, good sir? Law and order, law and order. It's all a TV show. That's the problem. It's a falling, collapsing empire. We are living in a failed state. It's in all of these cities, basically there is no state. You know, like,
Yeah.
there is nothing. There is literally nothing, and people are suffering, and there's a lot of suffering, a lot of... Holy shit. Hold up.
You got more bugs?
It is a moth that has landed on my computer screen.
Yeah, beat its ass.
I don't like... they went back to the window? See, I don't like moths. They're attracted to light. Anyway, I'm sorry for the distraction.
No, you're fine.
But
It's too hot out here for anything to survive, so...
I gotta move out to Vegas then. But no, like, this is the thing, is we are living in a failed state. Like, you look at Europe, you know, they didn't do great. A lot of them are still suffering, but at least they've got healthcare. You know, at least they've got, you know, a lot of these countries had, you know, thousands of dollars of, you know, whatever local currency equivalent of stimulus. And, you know, and, like, we had none of that. We had one check. And Steve Mnuchin was like, 10 weeks. 10 weeks. You know, 6 months later, where are we? They can't pass the second check, you know? It's ridiculous.
Do you not think it's problematic, though, that these governors can completely shut down entire states?
It is.
Shut down people's businesses, jail people for literally standing on sand,
and give them nothing in return.
Well, it's not just, they don't need to give us anything. They need to just leave us alone.
If you're going to lock down our government, you need to ensure we can buy food. Yeah. You need to ensure we can pay rent.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Trump can't do that, but Governor Sisolak can. Murphy can. Pritzker can. Trump can. Trump can't do any of that. If Trump were to do everything these governors are doing, he would be impeached and he would go to jail forever. And
he's already been impeached. It didn't go that way.
Well, he would be impeached again successfully. You know, it would have actually gone somewhere instead of the bread and circus that the Democratic Party gave us.
It's both parties. That's the thing. Is that Jim Jordan was playing right along into it. Mr. Moo, Devin Nunes was playing right along into it. It's all a big. It's a TV show.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of political theater to it, but there's real, you know, consequences to a lot of the things that are happening. We have a polarized government that is unable to or unwilling to work with each other to solve Americans' problems. And, you know, this is why I'm a small government person. I don't believe the government should have a right to shut down our businesses. I don't give a fuck what is happening in the real world. I don't want to wear a fucking mask, and I never will. I think all of it is stupid. Yeah, it's just like, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Do you know anybody who's gotten sick or died from COVID-19?
Yes, I do.
I don't know anybody. Oh, God.
I gotta protect myself in this conversation, as I can't trust you.
Okay, good.
I can't put this mask on. Oh
no. For a moment, I thought you were down with the sickness, but apparently not.
No, I ain't getting sick.
So you buy into all the COVID-19 hysteria?
I don't know about the hysteria.
It's a hysteria.
But like I said, like if we would have had a proper system of governance that reacted to this, it wouldn't be this bad. I know people that have COVID-19. I know people that have died from COVID-19. It's real. It's a real thing. And it could have been gone right now. It could have been in the history books. If we would have had maybe a 2-3 week lockdown, give everyone a fun vacation, tell them to play Call of Duty.
We did have a 2-3 week lockdown.
But no,
we did do that.
We didn't do it properly. We didn't have people still needed to go out and get groceries. Like if we would have had the USPS deliver people's medications, deliver people's groceries, which they can do, which they have done, we would have beaten the virus. But instead we did this, we're going to lock down, but wait, you want to eat? Oh no! And then no one follows the orders, and then the virus spreads.
Yeah, I'm not under the impression that it's as serious as they claim it is, and I think the mask hysteria, all of this is going to age very, very poorly.
I think masks are just good hygiene, and plus they look cute.
Oh no, they're terrible.
No?
Those things are terrible. Goodness, no, I refuse. I don't care. No one's going to make me do it. So, and they can't. Because I work independently, so it's not a problem for me. But I feel bad for people that have to wear these things for 8 hours a day. And another one of the reasons why I won't be supporting Joe Biden, because he wants a mask mandate, and I think that's bullshit. It's nonsense. I can't. There's just oh man. Do you not find it hypocritical that people derided the anti-lockdown protesters, but these rioters seem to be immune from the virus? Does that not trigger something in your mind? At all?
Most protests are wearing masks. I've been to protests, right?
Yeah.
They're mostly wearing masks, And it is spreading in protest circles. I know a lot of protesters, like, a lot of my, Twitter feed are protest activists. A lot of my phone contacts are protesters.
Yeah.
I know a lot of protesters that have COVID right now. They probably got it from
Really?
protesting. So
Really?
it's like, this is the problem, is we have no media that's covering COVID correctly. It's like, if you want to get accurate COVID information, you have to source it from, like, China, which is like, right? Oops, that's no good.
Seriously?
Or
Seriously?
like somewhere in Europe. You can't trust the United States as far as COVID is concerned, and you can't trust China. You can barely trust Europe. So we're just kind of on our own.
Really? Do you know any Black Lives Matter person or Antifa person that has died from COVID-19?
Not personally, but I know of people. Yes.
Yeah, not personally. Okay. All right. I was just, but somewhat on a similar topic, because one of the first videos that I saw of yours, it was about Althea Bernstein.
Sure.
Do you believe that she was genuinely attacked by Boogaloo Boys?
It's possible. I haven't thought about that story in a long time, so I don't know. I haven't looked up an update.
Well, she's in Wisconsin. She's in, I think, Madison is where the event took place. And me and my subscribers, they've been following the story and they've been keeping up with it. I have clinical experience, so I'm familiar with some of the burns that she has. They do not appear to have been inflicted upon her the way that she describes, based on the pattern. And there was somebody in my comment section was doing some detective work, and they found her from some social media profile. She was out petting these horses, and of course you see her face and it looks totally fine, and it looks like nothing ever happened to her at all.
That's totally possible.
Yeah, this is I'm just wondering, like, why do you, given the fact that, are you familiar with this website called fakehatecrimes.org?
No.
Oh, well, I should link it to you. It's a wonderful source, because I hear from a lot of leftists, a lot of Democrats, that we live in a very racist country, smoldering with Nazis everywhere. And I thought to myself, well, if there's so many of these people, why is the demand for these hate crimes so high, but the supply so low? And why would there even be a need to fake any hate crime if there's just an abundance of racist people in the United States? And this is no different.
Clicks, for clout, attention. We live in a social media age.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, more than likely that's what it is. Or racial animus is what I usually attribute it to. Racial animus against what?
As far as if you want hate crimes, there's more anti-trans hate crimes than anything else. I'm sorry, people of color, get in line. But my thing is, I don't know. I don't know what she profited off of. I don't know if she gained followers on Twitter. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. And I honestly, I don't really care.
Really?
I made a video about it. Yeah, I made a couple. And if I see something pop up in my feed, I'll just talk about it. I'm not I'm not someone aiming to be a journalist here. I'm a news and commentary channel. Yeah. So I'm not if you want to do the detective work and get back to me and write a report, I'll make a video where I read the report. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm not going to go snooping and being a super sleuth and get on my monocle and go into town, because that's just not what I do.
You don't feel like you have a personal responsibility to the 7,000 plus subscribers that you have to at least attempt to be truthful or to seek the truth or do your best at it? I seek the
truth, yeah, sure. But I'm not going to spend hours ooh, is this a fake hate crime? Is this a hoax? I'd rather spend hours reading a book or looking up something more interesting.
Yeah. You make a lot of videos.
Yeah, I make a lot of videos. So, if I'm going to spend an hour, researching something, I'd rather do it for a protest. I'd rather do it for something related to the health crisis, the coronavirus crisis. I'd rather do it, with starving children or the eviction crisis. I'm not going to spend an hour researching one potentially, fake hate crime. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, in my video, I'm not talking about the hate crime itself. I'm talking about, the kind of atomization and divisiveness in this country where you have people that think that that's acceptable. Because I had comments of people saying I don't believe it happened, but if it did, she deserved it. And it's I don't know, that's weird, that's creepy. So that's what I'm more concerned with, is the reaction and how we speak about these things. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know if it's fake. If you want to send me any information or whatever, I'll look over it. But if it's fake, I would like to see how she profited off of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not necessarily about profiting off of it. It's more about becoming a figurehead. This person is hanging out with, or she's getting phone calls from, members of the royal family. She's
The
going on
royal
Good
family?
Morning.
Oh, we
Yeah,
abolished those guys in
it was
1776. Thank you.
it was what's it called? Meghan Merkel and fucking her idiot husband, whatever his name is,
Okay.
Prince, whatever.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. She was on Good Morning America. This is what happens when you're a victim of Trump's America,
Oh, I didn't see
regardless if
any
it's
of
true or
that.
not.
I,
Oh
I,
yeah,
I've, I've only followed it like I think I maybe made 2 videos of like when it
yeah,
first happened. It popped up in my Google News
yeah,
feed, and then like there was like a police like phone call that was released like maybe a couple days later.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I
like
analyzed that. And yeah, no, this is an individual that appears to not be truthful.
that's totally
Again,
possible.
I don't have. In your defense, I don't have any proof either. I'm waiting for the investigation to come to its conclusion. But this family got a lawyer. They got a spokesperson. If you're a
Sure.
victim of a violent crime, why would you even need that in the first place? I used to work with victims of abuse and neglect. These people didn't need spokespeople.
I
They
would be
needed,
my own spokesperson.
yeah, well, yeah, fair enough. But why does she need that
I
if
don't
she's
know.
a victim of a crime? You should ask. You should be asking these
Maybe I
questions.
will. Maybe I'll try to get her on my show. Maybe I don't
No,
know.
absolutely. Well, she recently resurfaced. Again, my internet detectives were warning me that she showed up to a protest again in Madison, Wisconsin, and they asked me why is they're going to let her go? What's going to happen? Because of all the things that are occurring in Wisconsin, the law enforcement's tied up,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
a
not
low
a
priority for them.
yeah, it's an incredibly low priority to solve this case. But it makes you wonder, are they if this really did happen, you have violent racists who are setting black people on fire, running around in the streets with weapons, and no one is stopping them. No footage has been released to locate these people in a city, not in a small fucking podunk town. This is a city.
Sure.
They were able to get images of Michael Reinold. Why not of the Boogaloo Boys
That's a good
who she
point.
accused of doing this heinous thing to her face, which healed 100% by the way. So I was just wondering what your opinion was on this matter, if it evolved or not, because there's a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean,
fake
my
hate
thing is
crimes.
like if I make a video, that's not going to be my opinion like 5 months later. If like
Yeah,
something new comes out, I change my mind.
yeah. It's why I decided, like, I made a video prior to, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, and I'm just like, hey, this is happening, and I'm going to upload this, and I want everyone to be nice, and I was
Are you talking about
cognizant of
this?
the fact, yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god! Oh, I got
yeah,
fans. All right.
I was cognizant of the fact that you made these videos a long time ago, and the information obviously changed, and it was kind of upsetting to hear you say that you still think like the parent should be admonished. He's a terrorist. He's this. He's that, and it just like I don't see how any sensible person can look at that footage and come to the conclusion that Kyle Rittenhouse is like a bastard. It just doesn't really
I
seem
mean,
that way.
again, he shouldn't have been there. Like that's the main
Yeah,
thing is he's a
yeah,
17-year-old. Like like as far as like people having guns and organizing with
yeah,
militias,
yeah,
like I'd much rather it be like a 48-year-old than a 17-year-old. Just just like I would rather have neither, right? But like
yeah,
if we're gonna choose someone who is a veteran, who probably has a lot of firearm practice versus a 17-year-old who's like in a
yeah,
cadet program and has like a
yeah.
like went to a Trump rally. I don't know. That's my thing.
Yeah, but not he shouldn't have been there is not an appropriate defense. I know this for a fact, and I told my fans when I did a proper video about this is just because I don't believe he should have been there, it doesn't mean that my opinion is correct. Because I understand people have a constitutional right to be in their militias, to carry their rifles, and to attend these events, regardless if they're riots or not. But most cases, they're not supposed to be participating in the riots, which he didn't. But he had every right to be there. It's that comes off to me as like victim blaming. It's like blaming a woman for her sexual assault. It's like, well, what were you wearing? Why were you drinking at the party?
I disagree. I disagree
Really?
because like the context is key. Now, I appreciate the citing of the Constitution, but personally, I am less interested in the law. I am less interested in the Constitution and more interested in the moral calculations involved.
Yeah, yeah,
I like the idea of the Constitution. Like I'm pro gun. I'm like in
okay,
pro militia forming, right? But, like, I'm not pro-militia forming for the purpose of defending a gas station during a violent, like, riots or whatever, across state lines, in a city I might work in sometimes, you know, like, coordinating with police. You know, I don't, like, there's all these ifs and ands, and I know he thought he was, like, the protagonist in a story. And another thing that I'm very skeptical of are his lawyers tweeting out like he's like the Revolutionary War hero and he fired the first shots of Concord or whatever. That, I think, is much more problematic than anything Kyle Rittenhouse did, personally.
Yeah,
but
it might be. I don't know.
That's like this. The escalation of all this stuff is my problem. Now, I think when I say Kyle Rittenhouse is a terrorist, I think the idea of a child, right? 14 years old when Trump is elected-ish, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know this guy's birthday, right?
Yeah.
Like, their political formation is seeing Trump, you know, do all this wacky doodle nonsense.
Yeah.
And, like, Democrats go like, oh, how dare you, good sir. And then, like, the rise of these, like, alt-right neo-Nazi militias going on. And then the rise of Antifa, Black Lives Matter, like, starting to get, you know, like, fired up again with this year's things. The idea that's and the idea that someone can be raised without a parental figure like guiding them. Now, I'm not saying the parental figure deserve, like, maybe they should go to prison. I don't know. Maybe they should face some reprimanding. I don't know. But, like, they're just not a good parent. And I know this because I did not have a good parent. Okay? My mom was racist. She taught me a lot of racist things. She was not guiding me in any context whatsoever. And as a result, I did a lot of really stupid shit when I was a teenager. And so I know the effects that you can have when you've got a missing parent, when you've got a parent guiding you along the wrong path. And I think... do I think she should go to prison? Not necessarily, but we, as a society, we should figure out how to fix these things.
Well, probably. But you know, you also stated that you believe that Kyle was taught to hate black people. Do you still share that? Do you still feel that way about Kyle
personally? And you know, you can feel free to get triggered by this. I think anyone that would go to a Trump rally and would support Blue Lives Matter and, like, have a Blue Lives Matter cell phone case and stuff, I think they probably don't like people that aren't white. I think they probably don't like gay people. I think it's safe to bet they don't like trans people. And do I know for a fact that this guy was raised to hate black people? Not necessarily. But, like, I know that a lot of Blue Lives Matter people don't like black people. There's a lot of people in my family, you know, you can see my skin color, right? I'm pretty pale. There's a lot of people in my family that don't like black people. Coincidentally, all of them love the Blue Lives. They've got Blue Lives Matter all over their books, all over their Facebook, right? So, to me, that's just an educated guess. And I could be wrong. And do I regret saying that? Not necessarily. But will I die on the hill of that statement? No.
Oh, okay. So? Well, I mean, you're essentially lightly accusing half of the country of being, hateful towards blacks.
20 to 30%.
However many voted for or support Trump or have been to these rallies, whatever the case may be, however you want to, play it out. That seems extremely hyperbolic, but it's a general statement. That's how you feel. I don't get triggered.
Like
easily,
I said, I'm like, if someone wants to call me out on this, like you are, I'm willing to have this conversation. Like at the bottom of my videos, I will literally say I'm open to any debate whatsoever. And that's probably why you hit me up on Discord or whatever, right? I'm open to debating anything. So my videos are presented in a way to get your attention, to get you understanding in the best way that I can in like a relatively short period, because I try to make my videos on the shorter end, right? To understand what the leftist kind of perspective is, the anarchist specifically kind of perspective is, because there's a lot of misinformation. YouTube is dominated by corporate news. It is dominated by liberal news, and it is dominated by conservative news. There is a tiny speck of anarchist-leaning like presentation out there. So am I gonna say everything? Am I gonna make like a video essay and proofread it 5 times for every topic? No. My thing is I just want to get my topics out there. Talk about things in real time to the best of my knowledge. And if anyone wants to debate, that's fine. Now, most people don't debate. Most people just call me, "Oh, you're a tranny soy boy," and I'm gonna like okay, whatever. Thanks for the comment. I appreciate that. But I'm open to debate anybody.
Yeah. Am I the first person you've debated, or no?
No.
Oh, okay. What's the biggest channel you debated?
I don't really care about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I like honestly, I don't look at people's channels. So I like some guy who did like this radio show, like a literal like radio show, and like posted in my comments was like, "Hey, here's my phone number. Call me. I'm live on air." And I just called him, and then like I got the YouTube link, and like I had no idea who this guy was, but like they weren't that big. But like I don't really care.
Oh, okay.
And like
Cool.
conversely, if someone wants to leech off of my clout, like I don't know if you're leeching off of my clout or vice versa. I don't know, but I don't care.
I have almost 6,000 subscribers, so probably not as many as you.
All right, first to 10K. That's gonna be the
yeah.
base.
All right, dude. A friendly conversation.
Honestly, if
MAGA versus
anything,
Antifa.
given the amount of MAGA boomers that subscribe to me, you're probably gonna get a boost. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Hopefully, yeah.
So you're officially clout chasing. This is a leech. I'm going to not upload this video now. You've been canceled.
Oh no. You know what's it called? There was another YouTuber. I don't know if you're familiar. He's a lefty. He's a Yankee Marshall, and he was saying a lot of very inflammatory stuff about a channel buddy of mine, and he said he was like stolen valor and all this crazy shit, and he was also in complete denial of the violence in the streets. And he's actually somebody I do plan to debate next. He says that they're just kids throwing water bottles, and of course it's just like, well, we have young people throwing literal IEDs at the police. The police are being blinded with these lasers. I don't understand how a grown man can brazenly say something that is just clearly untrue. And this is somebody who literally went to Chaz. I ended up uploading this video on BitChute, and I archived it. He went to Chaz, and he was filming. He's like, oh, look how peaceful it is. Look at all the street art. And then he was assaulted on camera. And he ended up getting cucked right there. He was going through the footage on the phone. It was so fucking hilarious. And so I was just wondering if you had any idea who he was. But
I've got no idea.
He's got 300,000 followers, so that's where the real clout chasing's at.
Yeah,
so.
No, if you get on there, like tell them to get me on too. We can double team.
Yeah, well, I'll end up getting crushed because he seems to be more aligned with your views than mine. You'd probably end up enjoying him. He's a firearm channel, and I'm a firearm channel. Like I build firearms and I maintenance them and shit.
I personally, I'm pro-gun. I do not have guns. I've got a history of depression and suicidal stuff, so I don't. I'm on the fence if I'll get guns at some point. If it looks like the country is heading in the direction that it is for like the next 6 months, that's kind of like we'll see how the election plays out. That's my thing. Yeah.
How do you predict the election will play out?
Do you want my prediction? Do you want my
what do you predict? Genuine prediction.
Okay.
I'll be quiet.
Okay. I think that there is a moth. Right. Hold up.
Oh God! The return of the moth.
Okay, I killed him.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. All right. That's now.
I witnessed a murder here on this channel.
Rioters and looters, they're going crazy. I think what's going to happen is I think it's common. Like maybe you can tell me this if you agree. Do you think we're going to get the results of the election in the first 24 hours?
I lean more towards we will, but it's also extremely possible that we don't.
Okay. So that's the premise of my thesis here.
Okay.
So I think we are not going to get the results for the first 24, 36, 48 hours. I think it's now citing history, Bush v. Gore, right? I think it's totally possible that this will boil down to something like Ohio, maybe Michigan, maybe Nevada, maybe Florida. I don't know if Texas is in play, but that'll be a fun one. But, I think it'll boil down to a lot of these states, and a lot of these states have Republican governors. I think it's going to be in a situation where we're probably going to go to the courts. I think it's going to be a situation where Trump himself is going to say if he's not clearly winning, he's not going to concede. If he loses in any capacity, I don't think he's going to concede. Now, I think he might. I don't know. I don't necessarily think the military is going to team up with Trump to keep him into a fascist dictatorship. I think he would probably get out on January 21st if he loses, regardless of what he says. However, what I'm more concerned with is the narrative that will be set by the fact that the presidential election has not been decided, immediately, and we can judge history based on 2000. Now, there was a lot of protesting a lot of like not necessarily of this scale, but a lot of like
Yeah.
questionability, a lot of maybe not civil unrest, but a lot of
Yeah.
confusion. A lot
I
of
was
people.
too young to remember. I was too
Me
young to
too. I'm
remember.
just going off of history and some of my boomer
Okay.
friends, right? I'm only 24, but I think it's likely that that's going to happen this time around. However, we've got this protest culture where you've got armed militias on the right and you've got fledgling armed militias on the left. And we are at a lot more like of a violent intensity here. And neither Al Gore or Bush, and that was like, a transition of power, so one of those new people
Yeah.
had to take the presidency. It's not like it was Clinton, right? So it's
Yeah.
not like, Trump getting reelected or something, so it's a slightly different context. We've got such polarization, we've got such division. I am afraid that Trump would create an atmosphere, and he's boiling up, and I think he's created this atmosphere. I think Barack Obama's created this atmosphere. Again, this is condemnation of all of them, but I think
Okay.
Trump will play into this in a way that neither Bush or Gore would have ever thought of doing. I think Trump will not concede the election. Like, if it looks like he's losing, I think he's going to try to make it lay out as long as possible. And once you get to that, 3 or 4 day mark, where, think of when George Floyd was killed, right? Trump didn't say anything for the first 3 to 4 days, right?
Nor should he have.
Yeah, I agree. And, I remember in those 3 to 4 days, I've got a lot of racist family members. They were like, oh, yeah, what the cops did was wrong. George Floyd shouldn't have been killed. And then all of a sudden, a week later, Trump starts talking about it. The battle lines get formed. What is right? What is wrong? And those same racist family members, all of a sudden, Blue Lives Matter. The cops were threatened. They just switched their tune. And I'm not saying all conservatives or all Trump supporters are like this, but there is a larger than what there should be contingent of them that are.
Yeah.
And these groups are more and more likely to get violent. Things are escalating more and more and more. We're at a point where every week there's a high-profile viral video of people getting shot. We are at a point where if you have maybe millions of people that don't accept the election results, and then let's say Joe Biden wins, right?
Yeah.
Let's say a court decides Joe Biden wins Ohio. Let's say I think it's totally possible Trump saying, oh, I don't concede. The Democrats rigged it. They stole it with mail-in ballots. I think it's totally possible you're going to see people take arms. And I'm not saying that this is happening. I'm not this isn't I'm, this is just the situation that I can see playing out as of this moment. And anything can happen, and my projection can change. But I see it's totally possible that there will be violence. There will be a lot of right-wing protests. There will be, and because of the Black Lives Matter and anti-fascist protests, there will be a lot of collision of protests. And there aren't police willing to or capable of controlling a lot of that, especially if you've got this stuff happening in Florida or Ohio or Wisconsin or Michigan, right? And if there's a court battle going on in those states, you're going to see protesters outside of those courthouses. You're going to see them at the state capitals, right? This could be a very, 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 very scary part of American history. Yeah. So I don't know. But that's I think one of the most likely scenarios. And
okay, so you lean more towards him losing and then violence ensuing, or just...
I think, regardless of him winning or losing, I think that lack of knowledge, and who knows? Who knows? Okay. Joe Biden might win, or he might win, conclusively, and we might know by midnight. Who knows? But I don't think that's going to happen because of the mail-in stuff. I don't think that's going to happen because of a lot of the polling place things. I don't know. There's a lot of compared to 2016, which was my first election that I could vote in. There's a lot of uncertainties in comparison to 2016. And so, I don't know.
Do you plan to vote? Does Trump have your support this November?
Oh, God, no. God, no.
Who are you going to be supporting? Who are you going to be voting for?
I support nobody, but I will vote for Joe Biden. Now,
oh, no, you're terrible.
I will vote for... the way I present this is I will vote for whoever is polling the highest against Donald Trump in North Carolina. Yeah. My vote actually matters, unlike a lot of people in this country. I live in a swing state. But... So if Kanye West, decides, all right, Trump, you're my enemy now, and starts getting 35, 40% in North Carolina, fuck it. I'm going on the Kanye gang. If Jo Jorgensen decides to recover from her bat rabies infection or whatever and starts to actually try to campaign, and she gets 30%, let's go for it. You know, like, I don't care. It's less about who I'm voting for and more about I just don't like Donald Trump. I want him to get the hell out of here.
What is the worst thing about the president of the United States that you can think of? Why do you hate him so much?
I hate him so much because his administration has tried to revoke rights for transgender people to get insurance to cover their health care costs. I know a lot of trans people. I am trans. And I know a lot of trans people that couldn't get their hormone pills, that couldn't get their proper, doctor's visits because of an HHS rule that was passed this year. And courts have been reversing that stuff, thankfully. Which, it was kind of scary because we do have the Republican Supreme Court, but they've been okay on some of these things, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But the fact that I know a lot of people who had to go 3 months without a testosterone injection or an estrogen injection, and that really fucks your fucking psyche up, that, can cause, a lot of problems physically, and the idea that Trump is okay with that, I think that alone... I can cite anything else, but that is my biggest reason. He just needs to go.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Well, he has my resounding support, my unwavering support, and, I'm convincing as many people as I can to support the president. Again, I'm fighting an uphill battle. A lot of people on the right, a handful of my fellow contemporaries are black-pilled. They don't like him. They hate him for the wrong reasons because he's not racist enough, as you would put it. But by the way, that sticker, that was free. Someone gave that to me. Someone dropped it off at my house. While I was on the computer, they just showed up and left it on my door.
Just wait till you see my Bernie sticker collection. I was a Bernie volunteer. I canvassed for Bernie. I literally have like this paper towel roll full of Bernie stickers, except they're Bernie stickers and not paper towels.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell those on eBay in 60 years.
Oh, yeah? Well, hopefully if they're worth anything in 60 years,
I think they will be. When people realize, oh, shit, we could have prevented a second, third, fourth Civil War revolution. We could have just had Bernie.
I think the Bernie magic is gone. It was certainly gone with me as soon as Trump came into office, and then Bernard ended up just making an ass of himself on every time he spoke.
I disagree with that.
He went way further left than he should have, and it's kind of upsetting, but it is what it is.
I don't know. War Powers resolution, that was a pretty big moment in 2018, I think, personally.
I don't remember what happened with that.
You had Ro Khanna in the House and Bernie in the Senate with Mike Lee from Utah sponsor a bill to stop a genocide in Yemen, and Trump was like, and then vetoed it.
A genocide in Yemen.
Yes, providing Saudi Arabia arms to.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, yeah, that's right. I don't know. I think we should just leave the Middle East altogether. I'm anti-war.
I am anti-war as well.
It's why I support the president. He's the only one, even out of all the Democratic candidates, he's the only one that's anti-war. And
he's not anti-war. Let's be honest. Now, is he less of a warmonger than Joe Biden? Honestly, maybe.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But at the same time, anti-war, are you kidding? Assassinating a top Iranian general on the 3rd day of the year or whatever? That's not anti-war.
He memed himself to death in Trump's defense. That guy was posting these memes, and he had it coming,
No, I don't. You can't assassinate a top, general of a major country and then claim to be anti-war. I'm sorry, those bona fides, as far as I'm concerned, are gone.
Well, I thought it was a hilarious affair, and watching everybody screech like retards, especially on the right, about Trump starting a world war, and just never happened. It was all bullshit, all bluster. So, yeah. Well, goodness. Well, we did talk about all those 3 things, didn't we? So we went over Kyle Rittenhouse, we went over the Portland thing, and Thea Bernstein, who I can't stand. Goodness. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm surprised that you care about her that much. There's so much more going on. I'm way more concerned with 5 million starving children than I am about Thea Bernstein.
Well, the things that
Is it Bernstein? Wait a second.
I think it's Bernstein.
Is it Bernstein or Bernstein? I'm sorry, I'm getting meta here.
It's Bernstein. I'm pretty sure it's Bernstein. Like the Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, I'm just doing a little meme. I don't.
Just the things that I worry about is obviously the election. I think the mail-in voting is going to bring about a lot of voter fraud, and we just have to wait.
Trump telling people in my state to vote twice. That should be fun. Maybe I'll vote twice for Joe Biden. I don't know.
does that not show that, because now that the Democrats or the press is talking about what he said, does that not just show the vulnerabilities of the mass mail-in voting
No,
that the
it
Democrats
doesn't.
want to propose?
Because if
Oh,
you've got two ballots, right? They check, signature. They check who this person is. They
yeah.
check if they're dead. Like,
All
I
right.
don't
Well,
think that's that big of a problem.
hypothetically, let's pretend that you were living with your parents and they got your mail-in ballot and they filled it out and sent it in without your knowledge, and they made you vote for Trump. I mean, they're essentially going to be sending out mail-in ballots to every registered voter in whatever state that's doing this, which
Well,
is
in my
insane.
opinion, that wouldn't happen with me because I would just make sure that my vote is counted correctly. I would call the Board of Elections, I didn't get my ballot, and if they say that it was received, then I would know something goes on. Now, I will
Yeah,
also say I did a lot of Bernie work this year in primaries.
yeah,
I am way more skeptical of voting machines where you touch the screen. I
yeah.
am way more skeptical of those than I am of mail-in ballots.
Why? There's literally no reason to be skeptical of those machines at all.
Okay.
I used to maintenance them.
All
I would
right.
know.
Okay.
You get Even if the Russians hacked into it, they can't change your vote because
Okay.
you generally have a paper roll, and then you have the digital recording of the vote itself on the machine, and you can audit them, and you can ensure that what people did on paper matches what people did on the machine.
Then you can
With
ensure the
mail
same thing for mail-ins?
absentee, yes, but universal mail-in ballots, no,
What's the
because usually
difference?
the difference would be when you send in an absentee ballot, they don't want voter coercion. So a lot of times you would have to fill out or your ballot before a notary, and the notary would sign off on it and basically sign off on the fact that you weren't under duress, you weren't coerced into voting a certain way, or there wasn't any funny business. And there's none of that going on now. It's just anyone's going to be able to get these ballots, regardless if they ask for it or not, regardless if they're voting for it or not, and anyone can appear to sign off on this. And the rules aren't clear. They're changing the rules so quickly, and it's going to cause a lot of chaos and mayhem. And I used to work for the
Exactly.
election departments. So
Okay.
I know this really well. And and Robert Barnes and Viva Fry, they spoke on this matter, and it was very great conversation, and they were right on the money. Um, they're not safe. Plain and simple, these things are not safe, and there's just going to be just way too many issues. And again, do
I
we
think
really
the
not
USPS
want to
being
know?
destroyed as well is factoring into that.
It may be, but do we really want to push out the change all the rules to voting via mail over something that like it's changing too quickly, and the
I
election
can
is less
agree it
than
is
2 months
changing
away.
too quickly, though I disagree that it's going to be rife with fraud, and it's totally possible that there will be fraud. It totally is possible that there will be more fraud compared to 2018 or
Yeah,
2016 or whatever. That's totally
yeah,
possible, right? But personally, I'm probably going to vote in person, right?
yeah. No, there's no reason not to.
But like at the
Dr.
same
Fauci says
time,
it's okay. The science nerd says it's fine. So why wouldn't it be okay?
well, Dr.
Well,
Fauci's an idiot. But
oh no, I totally agree.
yeah, but like my thing is like I think it's just a big hullabaloo. I think this is an excuse to ruin the U.S. Postal Service, which Republicans have been trying to do since the aughts. When they
Yeah,
did that bizarre 75-year pension funding thing, and I think 2006. So
yeah,
stupid, so stupid. But I think this is just like kind of like a convenient point for them to destroy the USPS, and that is more concerning to me than the election personally. Because if Trump wins a second term, the USPS is gone. That's gone.
yeah. Well, it's not. No, people think that the USPS it's in the Constitution. Like it's set in stone. Like you can't just write it off. You can't just make it go away. That's just not how it works at all whatsoever. Funding issues aside, no, Trump is not going to get rid of the USPS. He literally cannot unless he sends in the drones to bomb them all. They're not going anywhere. That's just
I don't know. I run an eBay store, and having to deal with people getting mad at me because the package is 2 weeks later than it should have been, that's a
yeah,
little frustrating, and that causes a
yeah,
lot of problems. So do I
yeah,
think the USPS is going to be gone? Is it going to disappear? No, not necessarily. But people are going to start using FedEx, UPS, Amazon, other services a
yeah.
lot more, and it's going to cripple the USPS's efficacy.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I personally don't have an issue with the postal service, but the mail-in ballot. What if there's an overzealous Republican USPS worker who decides to destroy a bunch of Democratic mail-in ballots?
How would
Is
they
that
know
not
they're
a problem?
Democratic mail-in ballots?
There's ways to tell. There's unfortunately ways to tell based
Okay.
off of. I forgot exactly what it was, because mail-in ballots was not, that wasn't my expertise when I worked for the election department. Or how about this? An overzealous uh, care worker for the elderly, sorting and dealing with the mail of elderly senior citizens, and they were filling out ballots on their behalf, and they all went to Trump. So we have all these nursing homes going to Trump, or even the other way around. Like this is a big deal,
That's
and
problematic, yeah.
and no one is thinking about it. Our governor isn't certainly thinking about it properly. In Nevada, we're the worst. We're honestly the worst. And Robert Barnes lives out here, and his sister lives out here, and God, it's so fucking crazy. And it's just, and we're sitting here talking about it. And my concern is the validity of the election and whether or not we're not going to get the results on time. And your concern is the president, or the executive destroying USPS. It's just like, maybe these are both a problem, but yeah, the people who on your side of the political spectrum are hyper focused on this, and I'm hyper focused on the other end of the spectrum. But the thing is, it's like I looked into the USPS claims. It's not going to go anywhere. You honestly have nothing to worry about. Will the service degrade? Probably. Who knows? But yeah, no, there's serious issues with mail-in ballots, and everybody's going to get disenfranchised by it.
This is why
Doesn't
I
matter
don't really care about voting. Like, this is
really.
for me, Bernie Sanders, as soon as he dropped out, as soon as Super Tuesday happened, first of all, I think the Democrats rigged their primary. I think that both of them. I think they've rigged all the primaries, personally. But
Maybe.
I don't voting is it's a tool. It's an arrow in the quiver. But there's so much more that we can do as a populace. A general strike, protesting in general. Just like and it's happening. Like, we're seeing this play out.
Yeah.
And so, I think voting is the least of my concerns. One of the things that I say is, I told you I will vote for Joe Biden. Joe Biden needs to be inaugurated from a bunker. He needs to be inaugurated while Lafayette is on fire. This guy needs to know what he is dealing with, and he needs to be scared. That's my opinion.
What should he be afraid of?
The people.
Oh, the people. Oh, okay. That's right. You think there's going to be mass violence regardless of who wins or who seems to be winning, right? Is that correct?
Sure, yeah.
Well, it's possible. We'll see. I mean, anything is up in the air. I'm still under the impression that President Trump will win his re-election. Hopefully, that's the case.
Polls aren't looking so good.
I'm sorry.
But,
No, don't trust those polls. They don't know what they're talking about.
I
know things. I've gambled long enough on elections to know generally what I'm doing. I've only lost one bet, and I bet on a French election, and that was pretty unfortunate because I thought I was going to win, but I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, no, and again, I'm sorry you feel the way that you do about being disenfranchised as a trans individual. One of my best friends, Chris, he transitioned to female. His name now, he's Eli, or she's Eli, and I ended up losing him as a friend over Trump, and it's pretty unfortunate that we're at this point that me and you can have a conversation, but he couldn't with me.
Maybe you should consider, if I had a friend and they were misgendering me on a talk show, I probably wouldn't want to be friends with them either. So
hey, did I not correct myself? Did I not correct myself?
You corrected yourself and then didn't correct your further speech. So personally, again, as a trans person,
no, educate me.
No, I wouldn't want anything to do with someone who doesn't respect me as a person. And when you do that, it's you treat it like a joke and you're not respectful.
Well, I never treated his transition as a joke. I never made any trans jokes at his expense or any trans jokes. Period. It's just not what I do. I've known him for years. Since we were little kids, and and he would send me or she would send me these articles about like Trump did this about trans people affected because of this, as if it was my fault, and there's just a lot of hysteria.
This is the thing where it goes between support and voting. Like, if you want to say I vote for Donald Trump and I don't support him, then I would absolve you of that. But if you're actively campaigning for and using your social media to say we must do this, and I need to get as many people to vote for Trump as possible, then I do think you have some culpability on that. In the same way that if I were to use my channel to say everyone needs to vote for Joe Biden, I'm going to sign a letter and I'm going to publish it in the New York Times, and if you don't vote for then I would be responsible for the drone strikes that happen in Yemen. But I say, sure, vote for the guy, but I don't care. I make fun of Joe Biden every day on my channel, almost.
Yeah.
He's a train wreck. He's garbage.
Even though he's possibly demented, you're still going to be supporting him?
No, I don't support him. I'll vote for him, but I won't support him.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Fair distinction. All right. Well, yeah, no, I think this is really about it. It was a good conversation. I'm glad it wasn't as contentious as I thought it would be. Honestly, thought it would. This would have been a train wreck. How long have we been going?
2 hours?
The recording. Yeah, wow, 2 hours. A solid 2 hours. We were able to hammer this out, and it was mostly peaceful. I'm surprised.
These aren't peaceful protests.
Yeah, no, there's a peaceful assembly here on this YouTube channel.
You thought there were going to be rioters and looters because of the Antifa flag. You were wrong.
Well, there was that peaceful moth that you executed on camera. So
I did not execute them on camera. We have potential corroborating video evidence of multiple angles, not included any potential killings. But so that'll be wrapped up in the courts for a couple years. But
probably. All right. Well, do you have any questions for me? Or any last words at all?
If you want to debate me on anything in the future, I'm open. Yeah. So if you say something happens and you want to say what does this dumbass Antifa bitch have to say? Hit me up. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, once again, I hope none of my fans come to your channel to harass you. I'll leave a link in the description, of course.
Feel free.
I never endorsed bullying. I never will.
I'll endorse bullying in some contexts.
Wow, okay, see, that's way more extreme than myself.
Yeah,
so.
I think liberals deserve to be bullied. They need to pick a side already.
It depends which one, like Tim Pool. I saw I saw a title. You're making fun of him for being bald. What is your problem with Tim Pool?
We need to
He's like the nicest guy. He's like the nicest guy ever.
I call him Beanie Man Tim Pool, and then in parents, bald.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I think that's hilarious. I think if you're going to wear a beanie all of your life, because you're bald, chances are you're embarrassed of being bald, and that's what's funny about it. Second of all, he's not a liberal. He's at this point, he's a Trump supporter. He's a conservative. He's I left the left, Dave Rubin style. This guy's a clown. Yeah. He's a clown. He's not a journalist. He does what I do, except less informed and with more viewers. So that's what I think. I think he's just kind of an idiot. And I also like making fun of people for the clout purposes.
Yeah.
If I make a video about Tim Pool, I get a bunch of angry teenagers. How dare you? So I think that's great. I think it's fun.
Yeah. All right, Andrea. Well, we're at the 2 hour mark.
We've passed the 2 hour mark. It's 2:06.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, no, I thought this was productive. There's probably going to be another insane, event that occurs, and
I'll probably wake up and there's going to be something going on. A bomb's been dropped. Who knows?
Yeah, and you're going to have a really terrible take, and I'm going to have to, make fun of you for it, and we'll have to debate.
If you want to make videos making fun of me to boost my profile and search engine optimization, feel free. Go for it. I have some people that think that, I'm going to make a video, Cyberdemon 531 Antifa Andrea owned, and all that does is boost my search recognition. So if you want to do that, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, when I set up my AdSense account, I realized how it worked. So, because I made fun of the Amazing Atheist. I'm sure you're familiar with who he is.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah, I can't stand him. I can't fucking stand him. He's such a terrible piece of shit.
He's not that great.
Yeah, and all of his fans stormed my channel, and they were saying I was like Elliot Rogers. They were calling me all sorts of shit, and it was hilarious. It was a good time.
That's how you gotta play the game. So?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's part of the game. You come on here and you have your opinions. All kinds of people will come at you and say things about you that are obviously not true. So yeah.
Obviously, I'm not ugly. I might have teeth problems, but I didn't have dental insurance when I was a kid. So what are you gonna
Well,
do?
there's
Medicare
no
for
ad.
all.
There's no ad homs on this channel. There's no ad homs from
Oh, there's
me.
ad homs all over my channel. I don't ban anybody. I
Yeah.
only ban spammers and bots.
Yeah. I fortunately have not had those yet, but no, this is
you'll
great.
get them. You'll get them.
Yeah. Well, soon enough. Soon enough. All right, Andrea. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully, well,
Link
you can
the
introduce
video
me.
when you upload it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And
are you
yeah.
gonna download my video and re-upload it? What is this?
No, I'm recording it.
Okay, okay.
I'm recording this right now on
All right.
Camtasia.
Right.
This isn't the most ideal way.
Webcam.
Yeah, this isn't the most ideal way to record. I should have had my other PC.
Well, if you want to
on-
borrow my recording because it's superior,
Yeah.
feel free.
Yeah,
as
well-
often with things, left wingers are superior. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing that out there.
Well,
We'll
I'll
see.
see you at the voting booth. All right, Andrea. I appreciate your time.
You won't,
Take care.
because I'm going to switch to mail in. All right, I'll see you.
Peace out.
I'm turning this off now.